Welcome back from commercial, everybody. The next item in our Christmas showcase is number FN2187. We have here a collection of Trump Christmas carols, and you can pick up any of these and enjoy them. They're easy to open. Ooh, is it cold in
Trump
here?
Christmas
Come warm
carols.
yourself by the fire, and we'll listen to one of these classic tunes sung by your favorite president.
They're making a list, checking it twice, finding which houses serve pintos and rice. ICE agents are coming to town. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to find a new gardener. That's just the way it is.
Wow, that song was incredible. It blew my socks off. Hey, get ready to rock around this Christmas tree because the next song is Silver Bells.
Have yourself a mega little Christmas from this house of white, both the building and my race. If you say happy holidays, you'll be shot on sight.
You know what else gets me in the Christmas spirit? Compact discs. It does not come with a lantern. Don't forget to act now. Make this collectible Donald Trump Christmas album your choice for the holidays.
It's beginning to look a lot like winning. Everybody tells me, everywhere I go. Take a look at the DEI. You'll find that it's gone bye-bye. With Middle Eastern peace about to grow. It's happening, folks, right now as we speak.
I love him too. Hey, you know what? I can't help but move to those grooving beats. One thing I always think about with Christmas, hot cocoa. And you know who makes hot cocoa the best? Donald Trump. And it makes me think of this song.
Hunter Biden's dreaming of a white Christmas. Nobody wants it as much as him, believe me. With festive snow lines up his nose. I'm talking about cocaine, in case it wasn't clear.
That was good. That was good. I'm not going to take their entire 4 minutes there. It was getting a little long. In case it's not clear, I was talking about cocaine. They needed a better voice actor to do. They should have had Sean Farash. They should have paid Sean Farash to do it for them. But anyway, where were we? What was the time for me to say? Oh yeah, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Nierman, aka Good Logic. Hope your day's been going well. This is a crazy day today. Today is a crazy day. Like when I was going over with Jim what I want to cover today, he usually gives me stories and he'll give me 15 topics. And out of those 15 topics, I'm like, no. Okay, maybe this one. Okay. Oh, that one's good. And then no. And there'll be like 2, maybe 3 in there that I'm like, this is something I definitely want to cover. Today's news is like just a gold mine, where it's just like there's seashells, and I'm picking up these seashells on the beach, and everyone is like, wow, great story. Oh my God, I got to cover that. Like there's just one after another. So I'm walking there in my capri pants, as I am wont to do, picking up seashells of great stories, which are like gold. That was a very weird visual I just painted there, but what the hell? And no, I've never owned capri. I don't even capri pants. All of a sudden, I thought I was that. I was that guy from the O.J. Simpson trial. What was his name? Everyone remembers him, the surfer dude. Anyway, yeah. So there's tons of crazy stories. As far as what I'm prioritizing here, I don't know. We got Venezuela we're at war with Venezuela. That's basically the scenario. It's not been official. No one's declared it, but we are freaking at war with this. Then, speaking of war, there was a report that came out from the Pentagon, which basically says that if we ever went to war with China right now over Taiwan, they would crush us. Like it wouldn't even be close, which is something that when I heard that, I'm just like, are you kidding me? Really? Like, we don't have like the easily hands down the best. They're like, no. If you actually like look at how this would work militarily, It's not good. It's not good. So I want to talk. I'm going to definitely be talking about that somewhat. You got MTG going full blown Tardo in who she's hanging out with. Kirsty Nolan was on the Hill today, just dropping firebombs on these Democrats, on these Democrat members of the House. I mean, just she was lighting them ablaze. I forgot. I don't even sure if I mentioned in my description there. I have a whole thing I want to break down for you about what the House is trying to do with respect to federal unions, meaning unions for federal agencies, which I got a mouthful on that one. I'm going to try my best not to rant when we're covering that. But yeah, I think and there's lots more. So now I have a goal set up there, right? I have a goal set up there, which is that if we hit 15 super chats of $10 or more, that includes rants. In that case, I'm going to be going more than 2 hours. This is happening, okay? I'm going more than 2 hours. There's no freaking way I'll be able to have this whole done in 2 hours. That's just not happening. This show is going longer. The question is this. Is it going to be converted into like a members only thing? Or is it going to be for everybody? If we have enough super chats and we reach our goal, which is again, 15 super chats at $10 or more, then I'm going to make it for everyone. If not, I'm just going to like finish off here the last hour in members only. So that's what I think is that's a good way to go. So you guys basically with the chats and stuff like that, it's like you basically you're making it not members only. I think that's an interesting way to try and parse this out. It was a brilliant idea that I came up with like as I was doing my intro just now, and I like it. Well, not as I was playing the intro, like when I was setting up the goal, which yeah. So if you want to make it for everyone, which I prefer that, it's nice, but if not, I definitely have way more than 2 hours. So if we don't hit the goal, that's okay. That's okay. We're not always going to hit it. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. That's why it's a goal. And one person who's here to help me bring that goal home is your friend of mine, of course, Jim Satala, aka Jim Tells You.
I'm thinking you were going to say Capri Sun. I'm here on the beach drinking my Capri Sun because they are kosher.
They are.
But you didn't. You said Capri Pants, and I went, "What is he talking?
What the hell?"
That visual. I saw that visual, and I was like, "What is going on?" Joe's running pants, and he's skipping around, and he's holding Gavin Newsom's hand, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
If you saw my legs, you'd be like, "I got it." So yeah. I'm just saying.
Today's kind of a busy news day today. It was
very, very, very busy news. Like one thing after another. When we got to the Venezuela, it's like he's describing all the things that's happening in Venezuela. I'm just like, we're really at war with them. This is what you do when you're at war with someone. So yeah,
nobody's told Venezuela. Venezuela probably knows. Nobody's told Congress yet. Maybe that we're at war with Venezuela, and they haven't.
If you don't declare it, well, it's police action. We had like a 3.5-year police action in Korea. It was never a war, right? Yeah. So it's just a police action. It's not anything. Why would it? It was never declared officially a war. So you can have police actions that go on and on and on.
Think about for what, like 10 years after the Gulf War, which technically wasn't a war because we didn't declare war, ended. We were bombing Iraq for 10 or 50. What was it? 10 years? Yeah, 10 years. Basically,
it just kept going. It was just raining down shelling. And what was sickening was hearing about how I'm fairly certain we lost more members of our military to incidental self-inflicted fire than enemy fire. Yeah. Like there was like a lot of just mishaps that happened, which was horrible. But anyway, let me get a couple of these chats out of the way and then we'll start covering some of these stories. You tell me which story you think we need to cover first. But Nana Knows came in here saying Dan Crenshaw threatens to sue Sean Ryan, I think, for defamation of character. It's very hard to defame the character of someone who's a slimy sellout neocon. So Wait, is he saying being called Eye Patch McCain is defamatory? Because I thought he loved John McCain, and he does wear an eye patch. So I don't understand how that's defamatory. I don't know what statement Sean Ryan is about as controversial as milquetoast. So I'm not sure exactly how it is that what he would have said that would have been deemed defamatory. He's not exactly, he's not exactly cutting edge biting material. That's my point. That's my point. So he'll have great interviews with like great people, but like as far as him I never hear him give his take at all. He's always just asking questions of other people. But MLS trying to propagandize my audience here. God bless you, brother. Joe's brilliant. Thank you. I'm trying to keep up with you. I'm just trying to keep up. Let's kick off the super chat party. Also, what is the status of your application for immigration judge? Great question. Great question. So, status of that is, I think I mentioned this. I don't know if I went into detail about it yesterday. So, a couple of nights ago, in my extended time, I started looking into applying to become an immigration judge, and because there's, they open up now for attorneys to apply, and I'm like, hey, I'm an attorney, and I was talking about becoming an immigration judge months ago, where I was just like, just give me a warehouse full of illegals, and I'll be screaming afuera, afuera over and over again. I'll take hordes of them at a time. And so then this job opening came up. Specifically, I mean, they're really targeting in New York and LA and a couple of other places, DC, I think. And I was just like, wow, I live in Jersey, like just, over the bridge from New York. I could, but they even have remote. Like, you don't even have to be local. I could become a remote immigration court judge. So when I was looking at it, the biggest hitch that I found was that I don't know anything about immigration law. So for me to be like, just sort of like, serving as an immigration judge, I kind of need to, learn that stuff. And I started looking into taking different courses, and some of the courses are a little bit pricey. I mean, it's not like it's crazy expensive, but it's like, we're talking like $400 basically. And countless hours of time from at least one course that I saw.
Does it count towards your
my CLEs?
Your CLEs, yeah.
Yeah, it can, but I do my CLEs on the cheap. Like I do my CLEs, like the whole 24. They'll count as 3 credits towards my CLEs, right?
You're not helping the stereotype, Joe.
No, no, because I think CLEs is the stupidest thing in the world. But it's something I have to do. So I have like this thing, I'll pay like $170 every 2 years and just sit through these online courses and whatever package they give me, and that'll give me 24 credits. And I just sort of like, sit there listening to it and checking off, boxes in order to prove I was listening to it. And they might include immigration there. I don't even know. I sort of like zone out and forget it 12 minutes after I hear it. But, and so you're supposed to take 24 CLE credits every 2 years to maintain your license in New York. It's continuing legal education in order to make sure that we're boned up on the law. Even if we're boning up on law that's got nothing to do with anything about the way we practice. It's almost like teaching. It's like, imagine telling a doctor who's a heart surgeon that you have to study podiatry. Like, why do I need to do this? Why is that relevant to anything I'm doing? But no, you have to do it. So, but they make you do it in order to maintain your license. So I do that, and you have to do it every 2 years, and you have to take 24 credits, which, every course, which is like an hour long, is like, 3 credits. It's depending, sometimes 2 hours. I don't know. 4 credit courses, they have all these different credits and stuff. Anyway, you could take immigration for your 3 credits, and this will give me 3 credits, but it'll charge me $400 for these 3 credits as opposed to $170 for 24. I mean, come on, who the hell is paying $400 for 3 credits? The only reason I'm doing this is because I want to become an immigration judge. If you tell me take the course and you'll become a judge, then I'm like totally like, oh, in a heartbeat, I'll do that for sure. But if you're telling me I'll take the course and then apply and then potentially be rejected, then I'm just sort of like, because I don't have any experience or very, very limited experience in immigration law, then I'm like, I don't know. I want to invest that time and money. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it, but I'm probably gonna end up taking the course. I'll probably end up finding something to take because I really would like to do this. I think it's a nice thing to do on the side, and I could be helping our country, and I could actually.
Yeah, it's like community service. You should really do it.
Yeah, if they let me. If they let me, I will. If they told me tomorrow I can become a judge, I would sign up tomorrow. I would start working tomorrow if they told me I could do that. But it's a matter of actually getting approved, which seems like it's a bit of a hassle and sort of a maybe it'll happen. But what Grok told me, this is the thing that also bothers me, is that I asked Grok.
Let's be For real.
Grok claims that if you don't have any experience, your chances of getting a job as an immigration judge, if you don't experience in immigration law, even though it says you don't have to have experience in it, but if you don't have experience in it, then your chances are very low. And I said, there's nothing in the application here with this job description which says you need to have experience in immigration law. And they're like, yeah, that's true. All right, good luck.
Well, I would say, though, you happen to have an inside track.
How so?
You are very acquainted with the man by the name of Ron Coleman.
How is he helping me in this?
His former partner is Harmeet Dillon.
So you're saying I gotta basically use protextia. This is what we call protextia, when you're basically sort of rubbing up to people and saying, hey, can you hook me up with this?
It's not rubbing up to people. You would be exactly who Trump would want.
This is true.
And all he would have to do is say, hey, I know this guy. He's great. Look at him. He wants to be a judge. He's put his application in. And all that would have to happen is nobody would do it wouldn't be nothing illegal or nothing untoward. They would just go, okay, instead of saying, fast track it.
Fast track the guy that we want, who's expressing ideals that are consistent with our values.
The guy who actually wants to support people. Let's get this guy.
Let's fast track this guy who actually, has all sorts of great ideas about how to mass deport hundreds, if not thousands, of people at a time. Yeah, that's that. You're right. Maybe. I can ask Ron. I'm going to plow forward and assume that I'm going to get approved. Let's just do it. I'm
going to assume that too.
You're going to get approved. Let's do it. All right. Let me finish these off here. Gifted 5. Good Lord. Hey, look at that. God bless you, Nanner Nose. Bring 5 people into the following. This is what I like to see, and one of the reasons I really like to see this is because this is especially when I'm threatening that, hey, we might have a members only show soon. So the following 5 people brought into the following, courtesy of Nanner Nose. Please, when I call out your name, make sure you express your gratitude for Nanner Nose, bring you into pretty much the most positive influence in your life, which is the following. And that would include Dragon Book 2198, Glenn Croy 3902, You Buy Now, The 51, and Granny B 1960. How's this 6? I see 6. I don't know. And then Granny B 1960. 1, 2, 3. I don't know. And Granny B 1960. No, I don't see 6. All right. Welcome to the following. Please be aware that I am not at all the leader of the following. I am just the host. Well, so let's just knock these off real fast so we can. Oh, we also, while we're here, Tony Hey Munkets gifting also as well 5 Good Logic memberships. Who did he bring into the following? Who did he bring on in here? The following 5 people should express their gratitude to Tony Hey Munkets for bringing him in. That would include Patty Bilsma 9331. I think she's been around. I remember seeing that name. Dan Ragu, Jesus Freak 2112, VT Wave Faring Man 7161, and HJ Remy. Welcome to the following. God bless you. And please bear in mind that the following, while it sounds almost kind of like it's got some sort of relationship to a cult, it's not at all a cult type of cult. It's just a gathering of like-minded individuals who care about greater personal growth through community, unity, learning, and thinking. No refunds. So, that's a new one I like. Ask your friends that has been an immigration person for 40 plus years. He could direct you to the right place for information, your adventure. I do have a very close friend who's been immigration for 40 years, but he's like a solo practitioner who just deals with homeless illegals all the time. So I don't know that I don't think he's got any.
Who pays him?
He lives like a
pauper.
Yeah, he really. I mean, he feeds his family.
But he does it for the love of the game.
He does it because he's like the most altruistic individual I've ever seen in my life. This friend of mine, his name is Barry. Barry is the most giving individual I've ever seen in my life, and it's not even close.
It's not Barry Shank, is it?
No, it's very close to that though. His name is actually Barry Schneps. Okay. This guy over here. Okay, when I met him as a teenager, I was 3 years old when he started. He was a student of my father's, and he used to come to our house, and we were teaching about Judaism because he didn't know anything about it. He was Jewish, but didn't know anything about it. He was very curious about it. So my father would invite him to come for Shabbos, and he started coming on a weekly basis and learning about Judaism, and he ended up becoming religious. And he also started going through law school. So I literally grew up with him from the time I'm 3 years old. And he became a lawyer. He went to St. John's. And he's he was continually visiting people in nursing homes. He would visit his grandparents, his grandmother every day, every freaking day in the nursing home, just go and stay with her for like an hour while he's in law school. He married a woman who was a second marriage, and she had all sorts of legal problems with respect to it. Every situation he puts himself in where he can basically be helping people out. This guy adopted a kid who had Down syndrome. He had his own kid who had health and medical issues that he had when he got married, who had all sorts of autistic issues. Then he adopted a second one. The guy basically, a second, I'm not sure it's autistic or whatever. He basically adopts wounded puppies. And this is how he spends his life. And I was working in his office when I first went out for my own. He said, you could take an office here for free in my back. I'll give you a room. You could work out of there. And I started working there. I saw this guy get someone his approved to stay in this country. Okay. This is going back in like 2002. And I saw him get someone approved. And the guy's thanking him. Oh my God, you changed my life. I love you. I love you. I love you. You're the best, Barry. I love you. He's sending the guy out the door and he says to this guy, how are you getting home? So he's like, oh, I'm going to walk. He's like, you live too far. He's like, you live 2 miles away. Here, take $20, take the bus. I'm like telling him afterwards. I was like, Barry, you don't give money to your clients. That's not how life works.
No, it's the other way around. You take money from the client.
Yeah, but that's what he does. He sees someone who's in trouble and he'll just give. And he's looking for people who are in trouble to give. So he happens to be the most amazing, I look at him, I know that when he passes and he goes to heaven, like they're going to be throwing parades for this guy. He is amazing, amazing man. But he as far as politically connected to get me a judge, no, I don't see him in that. He would love to. He would sit and teach me if I asked him. He's the most amazing guy. But yeah. Anyway, I really was talking way too much about myself here. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Festivus. Amen. And to you too, my brother. I hope whatever holiday it is that you're celebrating, it should be festival. It should be festive and enjoyable. And you guys, I hope that it's times that you form with really awesome memories with family and friends. Let's get into our coverage. We're 22 minutes in, and I haven't even started talking about any of the news. I don't even know how this happened. How did this happen?
It's all my fault.
I do blame you. All right. Should we start? What do you think we should start with? Pick one.
Whatever one you have pulled up first.
All right. First one I have pulled up here. Judge ordering Kilmar Abrego Garcia released from immigration detention. What?
Poor Maryland man.
That's Maryland man. That's right. Maryland man has been released. This is just insanity. It's insanity. This guy. Federal judge on Thursday ordered Kilmar Abrego Garcia. You remember him. He's the guy who was pulled over. He's running immigrants across the country. And he's pulled over, and then the Tennessee police were forced to let him go. That's Maryland man. This is this lunatic over here, whose deportation became a flashpoint in President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown, released from immigration detention as he awaits a potential second deportation. The order from U.S. District Judge Paula Zinnis means that Abrego Garcia will at least temporarily be allowed to return to his Maryland home, despite repeated declarations from Trump administration officials that he would never again be free in the U.S. Judge's decision to free Abrego Garcia marked the latest major development in a saga. It began in March when Abrego Garcia was deported to a prison in his native El Salvador and then brought back to the U.S. in June to face human smuggling charges. So he's a human smuggler, and his case has become a symbol of the Trump administration's aggressive immigration crackdown. He was held in immigration detention since August when immigration authorities arrested him because the guy is a danger to public safety. But he basically became the mark of the left. We got to get this guy out of prison. Zinnis found he was entitled to release in part because the immigration judge had not issued a formal deportation order in 2019 when he was barred from being deported to El Salvador because of a risk of gang persecution. So this guy, this judge decided we gotta let the Maryland man go. We gotta let him out. And you want to see her order? You're muted, so you probably have
Sorry.
great things.
Oh, he had a final order because if they didn't have the final order, there was no reason to give him withholding of removal. So you can't have withholding of removal if you don't have an order to be removed.
So you want to see the order? That's what you're trying to say.
Well, I'm just saying it doesn't. I think she's being.
You think
ignorant.
She's being ignorant?
Ignorant.
All right. Well, this is her final order here. For the reasons stated in the foregoing memorandum of opinion, well, this is just, we don't get her reasons. But anyway, I asked for the order, and this is what they gave me, which is technically the order, but the order is referencing her memorandum of opinion, which is probably much longer than 2 pages. But she ends up saying, respondents shall release Abrego Garcia from ICE custody immediately, notify his counsel the exact time and location of his release no fewer than 4 hours prior to releasing him, notify the court of the status of Abrego Garcia by email to chambers no later than 5 p.m. today, Thursday, December 11th, and representative of the United States Pretrial Services Office for the district shall separately contact Abrego Garcia's criminal counsel with further instruction for installation on the release conditions. Like, you can tell she's like trying to like basically make an example of this. Respondents shall immediately transmit this order and accompany memorandum of opinion to all relevant officers, agents, and employees. And within a week of the day of this order, by 5 p.m. on Thursday, December 18th, parties shall submit a joint status report as the party's position regarding a resolution of respondents pending motion to dissolve EC at ECF number 72. And there you go. This is her. You can even tell just from the fact that where she's bolding, right? I mean, you can see how she's bolding these times. It's almost like, you can hear her screaming, right? I mean, that's just the way people, when they write, it's either all caps or bolded. So, yeah, 5 p.m. today, Thursday, December 11th, 2025, because I'm a judge. Yeah. So
we have judges ordering us to release terrorists.
Apparently, they don't really care. But as the Epoch Times breaks it down, a federal judge ordered ICE to release Abrego Garcia, who's because Abrego Garcia has been held in ICE detention to effectuate third country removal absent a lawful removal order. His request for relief is proper. Now, I don't even understand how this is not lawful. They said that there was a lawful order, as you pointed out. Yeah. The issue is that the order was sending him to a country, and then there was a claim that he was in danger in that country, but he was no longer in danger in that country. But the order itself didn't die. It was just sort of stayed until he was no longer in danger.
This is like a technicality, Joe, where like she's saying because you brought him back into the country.
Oh, it's 100% procedural. Yes.
Yeah, you brought him back into the country, so now you got to get another. You brought him back in, so now you got to get another order to get him out. That's probably what she's doing here.
Now you're asking me to look at
I'm just
opinion.
Saying.
See that they're giving me only the. Oh, this is the whole memorandum opinion. Yeah, it's 31 pages. You think people? Is that what the people want? I don't mind doing it. I don't know if it's. I got Venezuelan war and potential war and threats about what would happen in a war with China and Kirsty Noem stuff. I got a lot of stuff to cover here.
Because to me, it seems like if there was never an order to remove him all this time, that would have came up previously.
There was an order to remove him, but if I'm going to go through this order, I'm going to spend a half hour on this order, and I don't care that much about this particular individual to really want to invest the time.
No,
I do recognize that he did become a flashpoint. So I sort of feel like, okay, people want to know what's going to happen with Marilyn, man. And what her and they certainly, would be excused for being curious how the hell she came up with this. This is her memorandum of law. She says the October 10th withholding decision references procedural history, concession, blah, blah, blah. Nothing suggests the immigration judge ordered Abrego Garcia removed to El Salvador. In fact, the withholding decision twice erroneously suggested the stated country removal from which Abrego Garcia sought relief was Guatemala. This is, like you said, it's a technically deficient order, that since there was an error there. That's what it is. Why is this going for 31 pages? Oh, this is referencing a different order. So what she's saying is you don't technically have an order because it's not. I guess the error there is a problem as well. I really don't want to go through it now. If someone like actually really wants me to go through it, I can.
Gypsy's saying that Robert Gavea went through it and covered it.
Did he?
There was an order, yeah. So
okay, all right, and we all remember there being an order, but
Lenny Malley says there's been 3 orders to remove him. I thought there was more than one.
She hasn't found one, so there you go. I worked in HR for 7 of my 20 years of federal service. It's unlikely to help you to get to the top. In fact, might hurt. There's a lot there. Okay, so I'll pretend I never heard of you then. If it's only gonna hurt my application, I'll pretend I don't know you. What should I do? Well, at least for the interview. What may I do, Adrian? What should I do? What should I do? Should we take a look at who Paula Zinnes is? Or it's
I think she's another foreign-born judge, if I'm not mistaken.
That is probably true. It's funny when I'm looking at her biography here. If you pull up her biography on Wikipedia, so Paula Zinnes, born Panagiota Zinnes, is an American lawyer and jurist, served as U.S. District Judge at the District Court of Maryland, appointed in 2016 by, of course, Barack Obama. Best known for her role as judge in the deportation case of Kilmer Abrego Garcia, Greek ancestry. Received a Bachelor of Arts degree, summa cum laude from University of Virginia. Received J.D. from Yale, which, to be frank, is the most prestigious law school, is the highest ranking law school in the country. So she's certainly a clever individual. Began her legal career as law clerk for Judge Diana Gribbin-Motz for the Fourth Circuit, and she served as in the law firm Murphy, Falcon, and Murphy in Baltimore as a senior trial attorney from 2011, as a partner from 2013 and 2016.
Wait a minute, isn't Murphy the guy? He's a black guy, if I'm not mistaken.
No, this is a law firm. This is a law firm.
The guy Murphy. When saying Murphy from Murphy, Falcon, I'm pretty sure he's like a famous Baltimore lawyer that always represents corrupt Democrats.
Is he?
Yes. Like he was in the movie The Wire as the guy he played himself representing the TV show. He played himself representing the corrupt guy, whatever, Clay Davis.
Really?
Yes. He played himself representing Clay Davis.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Why I know that, I don't know. But
no, so she's a partner there.
Yeah.
So this tells you what you need to know. That right there. See, this is why we bring Jim up on board. That right there. That right there. Anyhow, let's move on to talking about. Let's talk about the Venezuela war. That's where I want to go next. I want to talk with you about the Venezuela war. I think it's time. I think it's time. So Kash Patel shared this out today, saying
gas prices are coming down.
Yeah,
free oil for everyone.
Today, the FBI and our partners executed a seizure warrant for a crude oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela, used to transport sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran. So we are bombing their drug boats and we are seizing their crude oil tankers. So it's used to transport sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran. The tanker has been used in recent years in an illicit shipping network supporting foreign terrorist organizations. Proud of our great partners who execute the mission with us. DHS Governor, and Kristi Noem, and Hegseth, and Pam Bondi, and many more. This administration's efforts to crush FTOs and cut off their resources will continue day and night. Here he sends a clip of them seizing it. I was watching this yesterday and laughing. I'm like, I'm the captain of the boat. I'm the captain. This is great. There's no audio to it. You see the helicopters coming on in, and they're basically like, we're here. This is ours. This is ours. I'm the captain. So the first boat is probably easy to take. It's the next one that's probably harder, because you got to figure the next ones are going to be armed, right?
Well, you can't. That you get in a risky situation for the people that own the boats if you start arming them, and you relate to that makes you no longer a civilian vessel.
Right. Trump's not really treating them like a civilian vessel, but you're saying they can basically be they'll be blown up.
Yeah, they could get blown up then. If they start fighting, it's just like, okay, we'll just blow you up.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's likely to happen. Senator Eric Schmidt was answering questions from reporters about this incident earlier today, and here is, you have to listen to the question. You have to listen to the questions that he's asked, because this is just wow.
If you can seize a tanker without killing anyone,
what's that?
If you can seize an oil tanker without killing anyone, shouldn't that have been the way that these fishing boats were also stopped?
Fishing boat?
You can see these fishing boats. These fishing boats. That's what they're dealing with. You can see all the fish there. Oh my God. Why don't you seize the drug boats that way?
That have been the way that these fishing boats were also stopped.
Fishing boats? What is a fishing boat?
Well,
the drug
runners?
The
drug runners.
Those aren't fishing boats.
Yeah, but
those aren't fishing boats.
If you can seize a vessel without violence.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Article 2 authority. The president, as the commander-in-chief, has identified and designated terrorist organizations who are cartels who run drugs that kill 100,000 Americans a year. So there's no legal question that he has the legal ability to blow those boats out of the water, and they will continue. This, however, these were economic sanctions by the president as delegated by Congress. Those were enforced by civil authorities with the aid of the U.S. Navy. So we're talking about two very different things. But if you're asking me if I have sympathy for narco-terrorists killing Americans.
Certainly not the level of sympathy you clearly have when you're referring to them as fishing boats.
I saw a video last night about they showed the boats. They had someone taking a video of all the boats in Venezuela getting loaded up with the drugs. And I got a line of them. And surprisingly, the boats had Chinese writing on them for some reason. I was like, why do they have Chinese writing on them?
Interesting.
Yeah, didn't make a lot of sense.
Interesting.
They're carrying the drugs that kill Americans. I don't. I have sympathy for my neighbors in Missouri who've been poisoned, who die. And we finally have a president who cares about them more than the Democrats care about going down to El Salvador to drink margaritas with terrorists. Senator, that's how I feel about it.
Do you believe that the Trump administration should try to...
Wow. Look at her. She's like, well, that was a punch in the face. Look at her mouth. Let's hear him answer the next question.
Senator,
that's how I feel about it.
Do you believe that the Trump administration should try to overthrow Maduro's regime?
That's not, we're not talking about that at all. We're talking about actually enforcing sanctions.
We are talking about that. We are totally talking about that. I'll say it straight out. I'm all for it. Take him out. I don't care.
This is like Teddy Roosevelt said, you walk softly and carry a big stick.
Yeah, it's like, you don't have to talk about it. Just go out there and just, teach them a lesson. That's it. Especially if you can do it with, avoiding casualties of American casualties. Yeah. What the hell? Yeah.
And so, and again, sort of letting the world know that we have important interests in our own hemisphere.
But it is something the administration is weighing. The president was kind of open about that.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's an assertion you're making.
Senator Hawley has expressed opposition to U.S. troops on the ground in Venezuela. Are you open to troops in Venezuela?
I trust President Trump is going to make a good decision here. So he's a realist who understands that we have to, again, pivot away from Europe's over-reliance on the generosity of Americans. They have failed and refused to step up for their own continental defense. That has to change. And so we have real interest here in our own hemisphere. We have real interest in the great competition with China. So that's what my focus is. All right, thanks, guys.
Well done, Eric Schmidt. Well done.
He was the former attorney general, I believe, of Missouri. that filed a bunch of very good lawsuits. Like I think he was the guy that was behind the Biden lawsuit over.
No, that was Bailey. That was his
Bailey?
that was his AG, Bailey. Yeah.
No, he
And
was the AG. Schmidt was the AG before Bailey.
Was he? Oh, before
Yes.
Bailey. But Bailey is the one. Bailey's the one who filed the one against. I'm 90% sure. Andrew Bailey. And now Trump brought Andrew Bailey into his administration. So
To do something, we still don't know what.
the guy is
Hopefully to replace Pam
the
Bondi.
guy is wicked smart. He's wicked smart. He is. Not me. Oh, it's not you. That's Harmeet. You're saying Ron Coleman. Going through Ron Coleman to Harmeet might hurt your chances. I've seen people go to the top to get an edge, and it nuked their application. That's disconcerting.
It is disconcerting.
That's very disconcerting.
That's not the Chicago way.
Seriously. It's not the
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's hear Trump weighing in here about the tanker that was seized.
Did you see the actual video clip of Trump seizing it?
No, you have that? Share it with me.
It's in there.
It's in there? Somehow I missed it. Maybe you could share it with me. Here's him answering questions. I don't think this is the clip you're referring to.
No, it's after this one.
Well, we keep it, I guess.
What happens to the oil on the ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
What do you think? We're going to dump in the ocean?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You know, you're a good newsman. Just follow the tanker.
Do you know where we're going? Was it going
Follow
to
it.
China?
Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it true it's going to
But we're
Cuba?
gonna, I assume we're gonna keep the,
Mr. President, on Fed chair, Kevin has.
So what do you think we're going to do with the oil? This is, by the way, when we went into Iraq, now, I was a big proponent of the fact that, look, if the reason we're going to Iraq is to basically save them from which, the Iraqi war was shameful, and I'm not trying to defend it. But if the reason you're going into Iraq is to help the nation build, the very least that we should have done is taken compensation, in the sense that this war cost us $2 trillion, and you're funding it with your oil. Like, we just saved your country. So yeah,
I put it in the private chat.
That's what I think we should have done. I'm a big believer of the fact that, hey, this is like, if we're coming in here to fix things for you, well, in that case, we should be compensated like mercenaries would. At the very least, not lose money on the deal. At the very least, I'm not saying make money on the deal. Where you
Why
decide
not?
to step in, you can. That would be totally justifiable. But at the very least, that leads towards, claims of imperialism. And frankly, if you start taking the oil, that also leads to claims of imperialism. I don't care about that. I care
That's
about
been the way.
bettering.
See, that's the thing. I don't understand why. That's been the way of the world for all of history. That's how every country was formed, through conquest. There's not a country that exists on the planet today that was not formed by conquest. They all were.
This is true. This is true. I'm simply saying, to the extent that there's concern of political blowback. So in that case, you basically say, here's our bill. Here's how much oil we took. Boom. That's the compensation. You can just break it down that way.
Actually, I think if I'm
I don't
not
have a
mistaken,
problem. I don't have a problem with
Venezuela
seizing
owes us
all
a
the
bunch
oil.
of money anyway from all the stuff when they seized everything, because it was all owned by American companies, and then they seized everything back in the 90s, I think it was. Didn't Paul Singer lose a bunch of money because we was invested in Venezuela? Or am I thinking of the wrong country?
I'm not sure. But yeah, no, I got no problem. I have no problem with imperialism, American imperialism. That would be an awesome way for. I'm all about Trump flexing America's size all over the place. That's what we should be doing. And any other country would be doing that. We basically cripple ourselves by thinking, oh, that's not nice, or that's not right. But here's
I put that clip in the private chat.
yeah, I love it. I see it here. This is great. This harkens back to lectern guy. This is Trump basically doing an imitation of lectern guy. Is that really him? Not like a stunt double? That's gotta be a stunt double. That's got to be AI.
He said he's keeping it. He's taking it. He's taking the tanker home with him. It's going to be Barron's new bath toy.
That's AI, right? That's got to be. That's not real.
I don't know.
Can't be.
I don't know. I see it.
Is
it
it
looks
real or
to
is
me. I don't know.
Is it real or is it
I don't
AI?
know.
I don't. That's great.
I couldn't see the fingers to see if there was 6 fingers. Then again, Trump might have 6 fingers. He's a giant.
That's awesome. I don't know who made that. But 6 seconds long.
It was actually the Lecter. If I'm not mistaken, it was the Lectern guy who posted it that I saw it.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yes, they probably start with him because it is AI. I'll tell you how you know. I'll tell you how definitively it's AI. It doesn't lead out into, if you walk out of the rotunda there, the Capitol, it doesn't lead, no doors lead out into like some opening like that. That looks where you could see going up steps to other doors. Like that's not real. So this is AI, but it's very well done.
Yeah, the Capitol doesn't open up to the White House like that.
Yeah, that's not right. wait a second.
Wait, maybe that's a secret tunnel.
Maybe that is the secret tunnel. Who knows?
I'm sure Candace would say that.
Anyhow, and before we finish up with the tanker, I'll ask you first and foremost: do you think we're at war with Venezuela?
Yeah.
Because I think that we are going to be taking more and more from them, and frankly, Maduro is a horrible individual. So, yeah, God bless. God bless.
It was over a month ago they announced that the CIA is operating inside of Venezuela. I'm more waiting, not worried, waiting for us to start taking actions in Colombia and Mexico. Because that's where we really should be focused, is Mexico. But then again, that could possibly be
why do you say Mexico? Because
that's where the vast majority of the stuff comes from. That's where the labs are that are making, the precursor chemicals for the fentanyl comes into Mexico. They have huge super labs in Mexico that are making the fentanyl, making the meth, industrial meth. It's kind of like if you ever saw Breaking Bad, how they had the labs in Mexico to make the meth. They wanted the guy to come to make. They have those labs. That's like legit, and they have scientists. But the point being is that's where the problem. But that might be why El Chapo's kids surrendered and turned in the guy that was running this in a little. They kidnapped El Mayo. This was like a month ago. They kidnapped the guy, brought him to the U.S. and turned him in. And then all of a sudden stuff starts happening. We're arresting heads of the DEA for working with cartels. And maybe El Chapo wants out. I don't know. Maybe they're cutting a deal. That's the only thing I can think of. It's strange. Like they kidnapped the guy, put him on a private plane, flew him to the U.S. and then surrendered with him. Why?
I don't know. That is very curious.
Maybe they were worried, oh shit, they're going to come kill us. I don't know. But they would have, El Chapo and his kids would have all types of information about how everything works and who's getting paid.
For sure.
Which, you know what I'm saying? Which government officials in Mexico are getting paid? Which government officials in the U.S. are getting paid?
This is true. It's an invaluable source of information.
Yeah.
Speaking of invaluable sources of information, Stephen Miller has thoughts on USC's seizure of the oil tanker.
Since President Trump has come into office, Democrats have sided with, at every step of the way, the criminal cartels, the narco-terrorists, and the criminally illegal aliens who deal drugs, narcotics, traffic, weapons, children, and engage in all kinds of crimes against humanity in the United States and throughout the Western Hemisphere. President Trump has directed the Department of War, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice to prioritize the defense of American lives and borders by taking the fight directly to these criminal cartels and these foreign terrorist organizations. You mentioned today the historic action, an interagency operation involving the United States Coast Guard, involving the Department of Justice, involving the Department of War to seize an illicit oil tanker that is directly involved in funding and financing terrorism. So again, these illicit, ill-gotten financial proceeds from these sanctioned transactions are used to finance murder, mayhem, drug trafficking, and terrorism across the Western Hemisphere and directly in the United States. So these regimes use these
Tell 'em.
ghost fleets, these dark fleets, to evade sanctions and to fund and finance and export terrorism, violence, and death. And President Trump has said, we will defend and protect American lives. And that's what's happening, Sean.
There you go. There you go. Stephen Miller he lays it down for you. He doesn't pull any punches. I think that's why people like him so
I was
much.
muted. Sorry. I would say, just so you know, I pulled your chat out for Rumble, and I have it pinned, and I have it in the shared screen. So if you wanted to pull it up to acknowledge those Rumble rants, you could do that. You could share that screen.
You're saying just like I can just pull this up?
Yes, you could just do that. I'll leave it that way. You could pull it up easily.
Look at these guys here. Look at them. Look at them. Look at them. So you gotta make it a little bigger so I can see it. That's Disney. And sending a $10 rant, and Uzelian. Right now, Mexico isn't the big drug people. It's really Canada.
Oh.
They move their operations. Oh, that's too small. I'll do it back the way we had it. They move their operations because the southern border is 10 times more secure than the north. I mean, considering what's coming across the southern border, that makes sense. So you're saying that everything's coming from Alberta, eh? Eh? Possibly true. Thank you for sharing that, brother. I appreciate that.
No problem. I'll keep it like that. That way, if we get another day, I'll just there because
Right. And we've seen,
I'll be right back. 1 second.
In case you think we're not yet at war, the Gateway Pundit is reporting that we're seeing an escalation potentially here, where U.S. FA-18F Super Hornet jets fly over the Gulf of Venezuela in a show of force against Maduro. A major escalation took place in the Caribbean yesterday when U.S. fighter jets flew in loops around the Gulf of Venezuela in a show of force against Nicolas Maduro. Most of the Gulf of Venezuela is under Venezuelan airspace, but the jets did not enter that airspace, staying in a pocket of international airspace near the entrance to the Gulf. Telegraph reported 2 U.S. FA-18F Super Hornets, which departed from an aircraft carrier, moved to the region in November, came within roughly 20 nautical miles from Venezuela's coast on Tuesday. Holy smokes, Maduro might be cooked. How far would you go to take him out of office? I don't want to say that, but his days are numbered.
Down the border now.
No, he sent a lot of these people. He also sends in a lot of drugs. So we'll see how it all works out.
So
But I can't talk about
So
strategy.
how far would you go to take Maduro out of office?
I don't want to say that,
But you want to see him out?
his days are numbered.
Can you rule out an American ground invasion?
I don't want to rule in or out. I don't talk about it. Why would I talk to you, an extremely unfriendly publication, if you want to call it Politico, that got $8 million?
I love how he just casually bashes as he's like going on. Like, just, why would I want to talk to you? He wouldn't even want to tell it to his best friend, but like, he's definitely not telling it to this is like the last person he'd be telling to.
Dollars from Obama to keep it afloat. Why would I do that? Why would I talk about that to Politico? I mean, I'm doing this because you picked me as a man for Europe.
I'm asking for transparency for their American people, because a lot of folks people are wondering
I am
what
the
is
most transparent politician maybe in the world.
A lot of folks are wondering what our goals are in
Sure,
Venezuela.
but I don't want to talk to you about military strategy.
Well, may I ask then, what is your goal in Venezuela? What do you want to see with the actions that you're taking?
Well, one goal is I want the people of Venezuela to be treated well. I want the people of Venezuela, many of whom live in the United States, to be respected. I mean, they were tremendous to me. They voted for me 94% or something.
Yeah. So there he is, basically saying that his days are numbered and that he wants him out. In an interview published just hours earlier, Trump declared the end of Maduro's regime was imminent and refused to rule out invasion with U.S. ground troops. Flight tracker sites show the two Super Hornets flying in formation up and down the Gulf of Venezuela half a dozen times yesterday afternoon. Let's check this out. There they go.
Is that the Macarena?
It does sound like a slow version. Hey, Macarena. It is. Yeah, so there you go. I just showed my age with that one. So, flying a short distance.
I called it out right away. I'm like, is that the Macarena?
That was very good. Flying a short distance from Venezuela airspace, it was a striking display of force in what experts characterize as the latest escalation against the Maduro regime. While the Trump administration has been conducting military exercises in the Caribbean since amassing a significant force in September, these generally take place miles out to sea. Here we see two U.S. Navy F-18 Super Hornets breach Venezuela airspace over the Gulf near Maracaibo and Punto Fijo. Maduro's government faces yet another bold show of force.
Using this technique, they can transfer fuel over 300 gallons per minute to other F-18 Hornets.
What was that? I guess they're describing what the planes do. Let's get this to like a normal decibel level. It's like too much treble.
Fuel in store. Using this technique, they can transfer fuel over 300 gallons per minute to other F-18 Hornets, Super Hornets, and E-18G Growler aircraft to the airway. It is not uncommon to refuel separate times on a single flight.
It's like we're coming. Two U.S. Navy F-18 Super Hornets, a strike fighter squadron assigned to Carrier Air Wing 8 on board the USS Gerald Ford, are currently flying over the Gulf of Venezuela, roughly 20 miles off the coast. So there you go. You can tell me we're not at war. You can try pretending that. I'll tell you right now. I think we're at war. So,
I mean, what was the reporting earlier this week that Maduro was just wanting to get assurances that him and his family would have immunity and not be prosecuted, and they would, allowed to leave, and they wanted to go to what's the place? It's not Switzerland. There's the other place where they keep all their money, not the Seychelles. It's
not sure.
It's damn it, Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein. Could be. Dizzy D sending a rant saying, Happy Hanukkah. Thank you so much. Happy Hanukkah to you as well. Hanukkah does start Sunday evening. Those of you who are curious about when it starts, that is the first night of 8 nights of Hanukkah is Sunday evening. So, in an effort to be transparent, there you go. By the way, that's now 3 that are 3 qualifying rants that have come in here, which basically is pushing us towards our goal to help ensure that we don't go members only, but that when we go into our overtime here, that we keep it for everyone. I can understand. Which now, in case you're wondering if you're over in Rumble, you're wondering like how many are we at, like where are we at on that? So the YouTube count is 4, but I'm counting this as 7. 7 out of 15. We're basically halfway there. Basically. So I think we're gonna make it. I got confidence in y'all. And if you think that he's not doing a great job in Venezuela, well, here are people on the inside who actually might disagree with you. Not this one. That's the one. Venezuelan Nobel laureate credits Trump for pressuring Maduro with decisive actions. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado says decisive actions by the U.S., including the seizure of an oil tanker, have left the repressive government of President Nicolas Maduro at its weakest point. Venezuela opposition leader Maria Corina Machado said Thursday that decisive actions by the U.S., including the seizure of an oil tanker, have left the repressive government of President Maduro at its weakest point and vowed to return to the country to keep fighting for democracy. I don't care much about democracy. I care more about a healthy country. But Machado's statements to reporters came hours after she appeared in public for the first time in 11 months following her arrival in Norway's capital, Oslo, where her daughter received the Nobel Peace Prize award on her behalf on Wednesday. The actions of President Donald Trump have been decisive to reach where we are now, where the regime is significantly weaker, she said, because before the regime thought it had impunity. Now they start to understand that this is serious and that the world is watching, and more specifically, Donald Trump is watching. Machado sidestepped questions about whether U.S. military intervention is necessary to remove Maduro. She told reporters that she would return to Venezuela, quote, when we believe the security conditions are right and it won't depend on whether or not the regime leaves. Machado arrived in Oslo after Wednesday's prize ceremony, made her first public appearance on Thursday, and she had left Venezuela at a critical point in the country's protracted crisis, with the Trump administration carrying out deadly military operations in the Caribbean, and threatening repeatedly to strike Venezuela soil.
Sorry about that.
No worries. The White House said operations which have killed more than 80 people meant to stop the flow of drugs into the U.S. Many, including analysts, U.S. members of Congress, and Maduro herself, see the operation's effort to end his hold on power. I think Machado herself.
Is she the one who won the election and fled?
She is the one who fled, yeah, Machado. The opposition led by Machado has only added to this perception by reigniting its promise to soon govern the country. So there you go. Quote, we the Venezuelan people that have tried every single, institutional ask support for the democratic nations in the world to cut those resources that came from illegal activities and support repressive approaches, she said. And that's why we're certainly asking the world to act. It's not a matter of statements, as you say, it's a matter of action. And if you want a matter of action, Donald Trump is your guy. As opposed to just political rhetoric, he actually will just send folks in there.
I think we smuggled her out of the country too, if I'm not mistaken. We got her. She was like hiding in Venezuela, and somehow our government was able to get her out and into somehow get her to Norway, I think.
Interesting.
Probably the CIA.
Cool. All right. Well, moving, I guess this would be further westward and towards beyond the international date line and into the Eastern Hemisphere.
We're time traveling to tomorrow.
Time traveling to tomorrow, I guess, technically, right? Because in China right now, it is like 7 a.m., right? It's around 8. It's almost 8 a.m. in China, I guess, right? So a report is saying that if we get into an armed conflict with China, we are going to get crushed. It's not going to be pretty. If we start that, as brought out here by Newsmax, report says China would defeat U.S. in a war over Taiwan.
There's caveats to this, though. I mean, that would be as long as it stayed
not nuclear.
Yeah, conventional, and we did not attack. If we attacked the mainland of China, it would be if we tried to simply defend.
If we tried
Taiwan.
to hold Taiwan,
right, to hold Taiwan and defend instead of.
If we tried to hold Taiwan, right. we're ill-equipped to hold Taiwan from China.
Right. If we went on the offensive to attack China's mainland, right. It would be a different story.
It would be a different story because we'd have superior weapons in that capacity. But as far as defensively holding on to Taiwan, keeping it from Chinese control, right. That's where we would struggle.
Yeah. It's just because our ships, we don't have the way to defend the ships. Is what they're going to say.
Robert, this is a pretty intense situation. It sounds like it, at least. How seriously should we be taking?
Oh my God!
Report by that European
what happened to him?
Black Moon is a Chinese.
What happened to who?
The guy talking. He used to be on Fox all the time.
Was he?
He looks like he got 50 years older. He's got white hair now and everything. I can't think of his name either. Like, oh man, sorry. He used to be on Fox all the time. He was a Fox guy.
I don't know. I don't know who this guy is.
Chinese invasion of Taiwan imminent.
Well, I don't think it's imminent, but let's talk about the other part of Logan's report. The Taiwanese have finally gotten serious about defending their island. We've seen in the last year massive investments in reserve forces and precision-guided munitions, trying to make it very hard for the Chinese to land anybody on the island. And remember, it's still one of the most difficult operation in all conventional warfare to launch an amphibious strike, particularly across water that is as lengthy, the route is lengthy as it is from the Chinese mainland to Taiwan. But Rick, there's another thing going on here. What we're seeing in China right now with this massive military parade is a Chinese attempt to rewrite history. The Chinese communists are now claiming that they defeated Japan when, as you and I both know, they took a back seat and let Chiang Kai-shek do all the fighting. And when it was over, they moved in for the kill because Chiang was not only corrupt, but his forces were exhausted after fighting the Japanese for over 10 years. So it's part of a long-term strategy on the part of China to rewrite the rules of the road. But relying on Russia for conventional support is pretty sketchy, because what we're seeing in Ukraine is a pretty interesting antique show on the part of the Russians when it comes to their conventional weapons.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute, because the other piece of that story was that the Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Chinese president signed a deal to build a new gas pipeline to send Russian gas.
I was going to say, he's not going to be alienating Xi. There's no way Putin's going to be alienating Xi. They're buds now. Now you could thank Biden for that.
Yeah, the only way that could happen would be is if the U.S. opened their arms to Russia and brought them into the fold, and we start. You know, we could alienate China.
We should have done that. We should have done that before they went into Ukraine. We would have saved ourselves billions of dollars in Ukraine, and we could have had the healthiest relationship in the world. I don't mean that they're our friends. I don't mean that they're our allies, that we trust them, but I do mean that, using capitalism, that was the best method to control the animal. Listen. This is something people need to understand. You sort of need to understand your enemy if you're going to deal with them as effectively as possible. Otherwise, you got to nuke everyone, which that doesn't seem like, the Christian thing to do. So you don't want to be nuking everyone. That sounds kind of crazy. You need to understand the motivating factors that are going to push us as far as how we're going to have successful relationships with other countries in the world, which means you need to understand the mindset. So, for example, a Middle Eastern mindset is not remotely the same as a Russian mindset, which is not remotely the same as an American mindset. But the overlap between a Russian and American mindset is money is important. Money is important. That doesn't fly nearly as much with a fundamentalist Muslim mindset. Now, mind you, not everyone in the Middle East is fundamentalist. So to the more westernized Muslims, who are easier for us to deal with, in that case, money is definitely gonna help a lot. But to a fundamentalist who actually their motivating factor is what is the will of Allah, so money is not going to be an effective incentive there.
Do you believe these non-fundamentalist Muslims aren't just practicing taqiyya?
When you say practicing taqiyya, you want to define that.
The thing where they lie to try to, that's their whole purpose is to conquer the world.
Okay. No, I'm definitely, I agree with you. Fundamentalists, they are practicing. Their motivation
but
is
even
to
the ones that
conquer the
pretend
world.
they're not really, are they?
No. I'm not. No. I'm not saying I accept whatever they say as far as that not being their objective. Quite the contrary. I'm certainly inclined towards saying that is the motivating factor. My point being that capitalist measures are more likely to be effective with someone like Putin than they are with someone like
definitely
like a fundamentalist. That's really my point. And my point is that Russia is the Russian resources are a little tapped out, and they were in a prime position for them to become very amenable, where we basically could have bought their assistance not by bribing them the way that Obama tried bribing Iran, but by creating a business partnership with them, where with respect to helping them establish the K2 pipeline across Ukraine. And no one will ever convince me that that wasn't the simplest and most logical approach, was to basically turn over to Zelensky and say to him, hey, look, they're on your doorstep. And instead of them invading and butchering countless people and potentially taking your country over, why don't we work some sort of deal here with them where you give them access to certain things? They have access to their pipelines, and they pay you for that. And this way they're making money and you're making money, and we'll get some money for brokering the deal. And that's how we start building a business relationship with them, instead of treating Putin, the entire Russian people, as if they're public enemy number one just because you have a personal vendetta with Putin. Like, it's the stupidest thing in the world. So Putin's not going to be there forever.
I mean, it's really, if history is going to show that the Democrats did all of this stuff basically with Russia and call, the enemy, the whole Russia shit that happened in 2016, could have ended up causing the end of the world. Could have caused nuclear war all over because they were pissed that Trump won. That's it.
Yeah.
They had to blame it on someone.
So at the end of the day, now what ended up coming out of that, though, is once they went to war with Ukraine, so they found an ally in China. So now China is a much bigger threat to us than Russia. So now, instead of us having a healthy relationship with Russia, which I understand that Trump is trying to ameliorate that by working some sort of deal between Russia and Ukraine, but instead of, we're 3 steps behind, not 3 steps, we're 50 steps behind where we should be, because now he's already established this deal with Xi. So you tell me, if we get into a fight with China, his business interest is with China. That's where his interests lie. So all you did was basically we should have looked at Russia as a rook in this chessboard, and Xi as the queen. And like, do you want that rook to be on our side of the board and working for us, or on his side of the board? It's really that simple. And because of the way we handled everything with respect to the escalation in Ukraine, that's why we're seeing that they ended up becoming best friends with them. Anyway, but let's break down this report, and then I'm gonna get to chats. I see there's some buzzing going on, and I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm gonna get to them after I finish covering this story here. According to top secret government assessment, the U.S. would be defeated by China in a war with Taiwan. Overmatch Brief is a highly classified review of U.S. military power prepared by the Pentagon Office of Net Assessment, according to the Times, which obtained the review. It documents China's ability to destroy American fighter planes, large ships, and satellites, and identifies the U.S. military's supply chain choke points. The report comes as Chinese President Xi Jinping continues to make threats about seizing Taiwan. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said this year that when the Pentagon conducts war games against China, the U.S. loses every time. That's what Hegseth's saying.
Yeah.
He's like, we lose. We're not going to win this. When a senior Biden administration national security official received the brief in 2021, he turned pale, the Times reported. The briefing asserts that Pentagon's over-reliance on expensive, vulnerable weapons puts it in dangerous position against a country that can make cheap, technologically advanced weapons such as China. Nearly 4 decades after victory in the Cold War, the U.S. military is ill-prepared for today's global threats and revolutionary technologies, the Times editorial board wrote, urging the military to reinvent itself. The Times warns that the Trump administration's $1 trillion increase in defense spending will be squandered on capabilities that do more to magnify our weaknesses than to sharpen our strengths, with dire global consequences. The USS Gerald R. Ford deployed in 2022 at a cost of $13 billion. Yet the Times warned that the aircraft carrier would be vulnerable to new forms of attack, noting that China has amassed an arsenal of around 600 hypersonic weapons. 600 hypersonic weapons, which can travel at 5 times the speed of sound and are difficult to intercept.
We're going to have to go back to the way it was during World War II, where we had a whole bunch of basically tin cans floating around the aircraft carriers, like as a screen, that would just take the hits, as opposed to the aircraft carrier.
The Ford is often defeated by China in war games, according to the Overmatch Brief. The Navy plans to build at least 9 more Ford-class carriers in the coming decades, according to the Times, while the U.S. has yet to deploy a single hypersonic missile. China has installed malware in the computer networks that control power grids, communication systems, and water supplies for U.S. military bases, the Times reported. The malware implemented by a state-sponsored hacking group could threaten the military's ability to move weapons and forces in the event of a crisis in the Pacific and could affect civilians.
Wouldn't that be an act of war?
Yeah.
I don't understand. So that's basically China's at war with us, and we just haven't acknowledged it yet.
Well, U.S. cybersecurity experts have struggled to find and remove the malware, according to the Times. Yeah. Look, all these make me say, thank God Trump is the one in the White House and not some stupid, handicapped Democrat. But it is very disconcerting. Did any of you who are watching this, would any of you have thought that there was a war scenario where America is second fiddle to another country? Because I mean, to me, that's huge news. That's huge news. And the fact that Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of War, is the one saying it tells you it's truth. Now the question is, what comes out of this? Does this mean that now there's going to be a reinvestment into hypersonic missiles? Is that what are we being? And here's the thing I'm concerned about. I'm concerned that this could all just be motivation to tell us that, we need to basically justify a large expenditure into the military-industrial complex, which
they're see this okay.
Give me
Let me give you a little sunshine onto it. Okay.
Give me your
we still have the best and the most untouchable submarines in the world. Okay. China's submarines, you can hear them if you just put a cup to the water. All right. We would be able to, if we went unrestricted warfare, okay, and just put our subs and let them go crazy, torpedoing things, we would be able to sink a lot of Chinese shipping and probably stop them from taking Taiwan. Now, that would be basically like what Germany did, and I hate to make that analogy because people are going to freak out, but like what Germany tried to do to England during World War II. All right. Would we be able to, you know what I mean? We wouldn't be, China's going to be hurting too, though, because as soon as it starts, there's no trade happening with China.
Right.
It's kind of going to be like, it's going to be a situation like happened where Japan had to make a choice. And that's why they attacked Pearl Harbor, because we cut off their oil and they only had a couple of years of oil. So they had to go get it somewhere. And it's going to be the same type of thing where something's going to happen. When it goes, it's going to go, and it's going to go fast, in my opinion.
I see a lot of you saying stuff like the Times report means the opposite is true. If Pete Hegseth is saying it, I think it's true. So
this is reporting that's been around for a long time. We built all these nice fancy things, and we don't have like anti-aircraft guns on our ships anymore. The ships that still have the Sea Whiz it's just a Gatling gun or whatever, that is for things to get really close, but we don't have them on a bunch of ships anymore. We took them off of some ships and we went with like lasers and stuff that don't really work. And we have basically missile packs, which they have to, once they fire off the missile packs, they have to go back to shore to get resupplied. They don't have a way to resupply them at sea. That's the problem. And we only have a stockpile of enough missiles to last like a week in an all-out war with China.
Well, let's cover that right now. What you just talked about. Let's cover it. Let's cover that right here. Wait, did I? Oh, damn it! This stupid thing. That's not the clip. I hate dealing with Fox.
This holiday season, don't take slow for.
I can't stand Fox. Oh my gosh! I even muttered when I saw this clip that this report. I muttered to Jim.
Yeah. I try to get other stuff, but for some, Fox is the only ones that seem to occasionally have like a video to go along with it. Unless you get like a local news station, sometimes we'll have video. But other than that, it's hard to get.
You're left with X, right? I mean, to whatever videos pop up on X.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a couple things that I think are notable about this period. One is that China has an economy that is, including purchasing power parity, is roughly the size of the United States. Its economy overall, not as large, but it has a massive economy that is involved in global trade in ways that the Soviet Union was not. And and in addition, I think what we're seeing now is a China that is increasingly involved in building weapon systems that puts it on a wartime footing. All the major domains of warfare. I'm worried about a few. One is definitely worried about the inability of the United States to fight a protracted war. And what does that mean in practice? It means that it's one thing to have enough munitions. And when it comes to munitions, I mean, the big challenge with the Chinese is that the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, which is their missile, which is the part of their military that has a lot of their missile capacity. They've got and they've built an increasing number of short, medium, and long range missiles, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, hypersonics, as well as drones. And they have the capability to shoot those across the first and increasingly the second island chains. So the challenge for the U.S. is that it's going to need medium and long range munitions. It's an area that the Chinese are weak. People talk a lot about the drones, and we think on the air side. So at the war in Ukraine, the drones that are being used along the front lines. Well, in the Pacific, a big component is likely to also be undersea. And again, it's an area where, unlike, say, the Russians, when it comes to anti-submarine warfare, the Chinese, they're getting better, but they still can't see that well undersea. So if they're trying to bring soldiers on ships or even aircraft, but let's say ships across the Taiwan Strait and land them or set up a blockade around Taiwan, and you've got a large number of unmanned underwater vehicles or UUVs. I think there are a couple of things that are helpful, including the terminology that's now being used. The secretaries refer to this time period as one where the U.S. and its industrial base needs to be on a wartime footing. That is, in my view, exactly the right wording. And
now this does sound like classic military speak for we need to spend a lot more money on weapons, which I'm always very wary about, and so
we need to be spending money on the correct weapons. We shouldn't be spending, $10 million, $12 million a missile. We need to be spending money on stuff that will be able to shoot down.
10. Yeah. I was thinking 10. I was thinking like $1 billion a missile.
No, it's not $1 billion a missile. It's like those, like the Patriot missiles are like $5 million each.
Oh, you're saying each missile costs?
Yeah, each missile is like $5 million.
Yeah.
So in the system, so we need to be spending money on stuff that's like, oh, you can mass produce this, and I don't know, something.
And the reason you would have this on Fox is because Fox is your classic neocon perspective of we need to basically thump everyone into submission in a classic Haley type of way. So the U.S., but they write, the U.S. struggle with China is the single greatest competition the United States has ever faced. Defense analyst Seth Jones wrote in his new book, The American Edge. And in an interview with Fox News Digital, Jones warned that if war broke out over Taiwan, the United States could burn through key long-range missiles after roughly a week or so of conflict. A shortfall, he says, exposes how far behind the U.S. industrial base remains as Beijing moves on to what he calls a wartime footing. Jones, former Pentagon official and president of the Defense and Security Department Center for Strategic and International Studies, he argues the United States isn't dealing with a superpower like the Soviet Union, whose system was brittle and economically isolated. China's economy, he noted, is roughly the size of the United States and deeply tied into global production. The economic weight is fueling a military buildup across every major domain, from fifth and sixth generation aircraft to an enormous shipbuilding sector he describes as upwards of 230 times the size of the United States. And that the gap is shrinking. Anyway, so when I see stuff like this, like I said, I'm a little bit sus, I'm a little bit wary that this is that our chain is being yanked in order to sort of create a more popular perspective of we need to reinvest in our military and things of that nature. If they're doing it the way you're describing, in that case, where they basically say, okay, let's dial back in area A and move on to area B, in that case, I'm like, okay, fine. But
everything we've done over the past 30 years or so has been designed to have this great overmatch with these other small things, like Iraq, Afghanistan. These, that's like I say, Venezuela won't be a problem. People are like, oh my God, it's long. Venezuela will not be a long, protracted war. It would be like 2 days, 3 days tops, and that'd be over. It'd be not, they'd be done. They'd be done for. They don't they cannot. But something like China, who has an actual industrial base, and they're building things. They have large stockpiles. They've got a huge standing army. That's a different story. We're not set up to fight. We're not set up to fight that war.
Wouldn't it have been great if we had Russia on our side? Wouldn't that have been great? God, so aggravating. I'm so angry about that.
That's why really the entire thing about offshoring all the manufacturing and all the stuff was a major problem, major disaster. And there was people at the time screaming, "No, you can't do this. You can't do this." They said, we're going to keep the stuff that we need for the military here, but stuff's so interconnected, and then all of our microchips come from Taiwan, pretty much.
Yeah,
all the best ones.
Yeah. No Divergence says, shout out to the ghetto and Robert Gavea for the raid. All you watching the watchers, God bless you. Zelian says, Joe, look at this and Japan. He shares a link with me here. What do you got for me? What do you got for me?
Honestly, I am very, Japan is making the right moves. Japan is saying the right things. They're electing the right people. And the Japanese are not to be underestimated. I mean, they've gotten a little weird with the whole anime stuff and the panties and things, but they still have somewhere down deep, there's still the samurai spirit in the Japanese.
There's still the samurai. Well, they were once the fear. They were the predominant power in the Pacific for like a century. So they definitely have a history of owning and controlling those waters. This is what Uzelian has shared with us, and thank you, brother, for that. Japan speeds up building missile archipelago near Taiwan to counter China, and Japan would be a very important ally if we ever went to war there. Frankly, I don't want to go to war over Taiwan. I want us to be building our own superconductors, so we don't need Taiwan, and we can basically say, "Hey, Eastern Hemisphere, sort out your own problems and figure out for yourself." And if China ends up taking Taiwan, well, that's then let Japan worry about that. But as military tensions between China and Japan reach the highest level in more than a decade, the sparsely populated island of Yonaguni finds itself right on the front lines, sitting just 110 kilometers east of Taiwan. Yonaguni marks the tail end of an archipelago stretching north to Japan's main islands, a distance roughly equivalent to the length of California's coastline. Ever since former U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's trip to Taipei in 2022 prompted China to fire missiles that landed near Yonaguni, Japan has accelerated plans for its largest military buildup in at least 4 decades. Up and down the 160-strong Ryukyu island chain. Right? That's Street Fighter, right? Ryukyu. Island chain. Japan is quickly putting in place missile batteries, radar towers, ammunition storage sites, and other combat facilities. It's also beginning to deploy major military assets in Kyushu, the southernmost of Japan's 4 main islands, including F-35 fighter jets, long-range missiles, and expanding the version of the U.S. Marine Corps known as the Amphibious Rapid Deployment Brigade. This is the picture they share here. Make this a little bigger for y'all. Make this a little bigger. So here you have Japan and surface-to-ship missiles. And in red here, it says route of Chinese aircraft carrier and 3 destroyers observed over the weekend of December 6th. That's this little red arrow over here. Here is Taipei. And Yonaguni. I don't know how you're going to keep this from China. I don't know. I thought Taiwan was much further from China than it is. This looks really close. This looks really close to China. Estimated landing areas of Chinese missiles in 2022 is over here in this little red spot. Yeah, that's a warning shot. That's a warning shot. China was sending America for sending Pelosi over there. Anyhow. So things are looking a little scary, not gonna kid you. I frankly look, when I look at stuff like this, I'm always like, I don't know who to believe. I don't know if they're just trying to trigger me into screaming for more weapons or if this is a serious problem. I don't trust the sourcing. I don't trust the sourcing. But then when it's Pete Hegseth, I'm like, I kind of trust Pistol Pete. But he is the head of the War Department. He's going to want more money also. So, if there's an area that I'd be a little cautious about trusting him, it's when he gets skeptical in this area. I don't know. What do you guys think? You guys think that I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to put a poll up for you guys. Do you think we would lose to China? Would we lose to China? Here we go. Start a poll. Would we lose to China in a war for Taiwan? We win. We lose. Don't want to have a third option? No, I'm not. Just pick one. We win or we lose. I'm checking the ghetto to see what you guys think over there. Ellen says no, but there'd be heavy losses. And we'll see how that poll comes in. While you're voting in the poll, if you could just please do me a courtesy and hit the like and subscribe buttons. Those are important things. Hitting those like buttons are very, very important, like really important. So yeah, make sure if you're enjoying the content that you show your appreciation in that very modest way. I'll also apprise you all that we are now, even though it says that we're 10 away from the goal on YouTube, we're actually only 5 away because we got in 5 rants to help come in here. Meet it with the long E says, we stopped replenishing our stockpile in the early 90s. Bush Sr. closed several of our factories. Then Clinton closed even more, and our stockpiles remain very low since Desert Storm. It's possible. Not in their wildest dreams. I hope you're right, Richard. I hope you're right. I don't know. One person who seems like they're ready to take on any all comers is Kristi Noem, who was appearing on the Hill today for to provide testimony, and that woman is just a bowl of fire. Here she is dealing with Benny Thompson. I was seeing this. I was like, go get her. Go get her. Go get him. Benny Thompson. You might remember Benny Thompson. He was the head of the J6 Commission.
What you did. Madam Secretary, you and the gentleman from NCTC reference the unfortunate accident that occurred with the National Guardsman being killed.
You think that was an unfortunate accident?
I mean,
it was a terrorist attack.
Wait. Look, I'll get it straight. Then you can.
He shot our National Guardsman in the head.
Look,
unfortunate accident.
Okay, hey, stop hitting me with facts. Stop hitting me with facts.
Like 9/11 was just some people did some things.
Unbelievable. It's really unbelievable how the audacity of referring to this as an unfortunate accident. Who the hell? What is he thinking? What the heck is wrong with you?
Guy tripped and fell and accidentally pulled the trigger on the gun.
Terrible accident. Oh,
or does he mean an accident that they let the terrorist into the car? Biden let the guy in. Is that the accident?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell I don't know what the heck he's saying.
The witness to allow me to ask my question.
To ask my question. This is a freaking sitting member of the House. Allow me to ask my question.
It was an unfortunate situation.
No, not an unfortunate situation. It's not. It's a terrorist attack. Call it what it is. It's a terrorist attack. Unfortunate. First you call it an accident, and then when you realize how stupid that sounds, you upgrade it to an unfortunate situation. That is not an unfortunate situation. What the hell? There's nothing unfortunate. This is a terrorist attack. Unfortunate is the outcome, not the outcome being that we have a dead member of the National Guard. That's the unfortunate part of it. But there's no accident. It's not a situation. It's a freaking attack. Why? I don't even. What is the mindset that leads someone to actually word something this way? Who does that? Who talks like that?
Somebody who supports the attacks that have been happening on ICE and the National Guard, and they want it to be. They don't want people to die. So you don't want to say they support that, but they do support all the other stuff, the ramming of the cars and all that. They support all that.
Yeah. Unfortunately. That's the only part that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate is that you can't actually call out activity for what it is. Instead, you have to try and mislabel it to try and whitewash it as if it's like, oh, well, these things happen. But there's a lot more fire coming from Kristi Noem.
I am sick of your lies. The American people are sick of these lies. American people demand truth.
America is very happy that finally they have a president in the White House that gets up every day to keep them safe.
Madam Secretary, your incompetence and your inability to truthfully carry out your duties of Secretary of Homeland Security. If you're not fired, will you resign?
Sir, I will consider
This
you're asking
lunatic.
me to resign.
Look at this idiot, this doofus. Okay, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm sick of it. I'm done. I'm done. It's bad enough we got to listen to the Benny Thompsons of the world, but to have people just come to this country and then just get thrown into the Capitol as representatives of Americans. That's their purported role. They're representative Americans. I'm sorry. There's a developing debate as to whether or not first generation immigrants should be allowed to serve in Congress. I wish I could say this is Exhibit A, but frankly, this is like Exhibit 437. This guy over here comes in here, has the audacity to basically just spew whatever insane leftism that he carried over from his mother country, and then basically gets naturalized. And I'm sorry. I'm done with this. I can't even speak English, but I'm going to tell you that what's going on in our country here. Oh, God, this guy who's routinely bringing up impeachment proceedings against Trump.
Your duties of Secretary of Homeland Security. If you're not fired, will you resign?
Sir, I will consider you're asking me to resign as an endorsement of my work. Thank you very much.
I am sick of your...
Get him! Because you're a freaking stupid loser lunatic. You come here to basically hate on our country from a seat of power that you're entrusted in. Unbelievable. I'm so sick of this. So sick of them.
You want to see that guy gave an interview and he was asked to name some of the areas where he represents.
Oh yeah?
Couldn't do it. It's in the private chat if you want. It's only 40 seconds long, but some guys asked him, what about this area? He's like, I don't know. And this guy is famous for he had a medical testing laboratory that was testing stuff on dogs. And then when something happened, he got in trouble, they were still investigating him, so he just locked the doors and fired everybody. And we're basically letting the dog starve to death and slowly die inside. And the people had to break in to rescue him. And
I don't know. What are the 5 Grosse Points cities?
Well, look, I'm not here to answer a quiz. I'm here to say that I'm going to fight for the people of Detroit. I'm going to fight for my
constituents. And Grosse Pointe.
And all of the Grosse
Taylor.
Points and all of Taylor and every part of the 13th district.
Let me just do this real quick. Grosse Pointe Park, Grosse Pointe Woods, Grosse Pointe Farms, and Grosse Pointe Shores. Okay. On your campaign filings, it says occupation. yours says United States government. Aren't you employed by the people of the United States?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, you fix that one. Okay, and finally, you're getting nailed with this one. The beagles. You abandoned the beagles, left them to die in their cages at your pharmaceutical
I love
testing.
animals. You look, I don't know.
What's with the beagles?
What are the guys?
Tell us about the beagles. I don't. This guy Shri.
All right, let me find it.
I want to know more about the beagles.
There we go. Here's the.
There's always some suffering animal somewhere from these people.
In the private chat.
In the private chat. Let's see what you got here. Shared from Libs of TikTok?
Yeah. Libs of TikTok hates this guy. And here's the news story from
video dogs being rescued from an abandoned New Jersey testing lab owned by Democrat Representative Shri Thanadar. Most of them never even experienced being outside before. This is the guy who's trying to impeach Trump.
the story about it is in the private chat too from the Daily Mail.
Reportedly left over 150 dogs and monkeys to starve to death in an abandoned New Jersey testing lab that he owned. This is that guy. This is that guy. Sicko. Twisted.
120 beagles from a lab in New Jersey that had gone out of business. And some friends of ours at an animal rights organization in New York City went and freed them and said, we need to do something with these animals.
It was just really amazing how things worked out. Just the other day, we're like, oh, wait a second. It's 4th of July. They're gaining freedom over Independence Day weekend.
As they come off transport, we're hoping to deworm each dog. Ooh, she clenches her mouth really tight. This one. Trim their nails and microchip each of them so they have permanent identification before going into their outdoor runs. We believe that they have never been outside ever. See the grass?
I don't think that they've actually had their paws on the grass. When I walked in here, it looked like they were walking on eggshells. They were kind of afraid to walk on the grass.
It's okay.
These are animals that don't understand.
Yeah, that's a sign. That is indeed a sign of never having been outdoors before. If they're walking on eggshells on grass, that's like a lot of new babies when they start walking, they get very freaked out by the sensation of having their feet on grass. I remember my oldest was terrified of grass when she was like 8 months old. So yeah, if they're uncomfortable on grass or walking on eggshells on grass, these dogs have never been outside.
What being a dog really is. And these are 120 animals that on this 4th of July have an opportunity to be free.
Just break your heart.
Hey, sweetie.
It's okay. Well, he was shaking and hiding in the corner. And when I picked him up, his heart was beating really fast, just scared. And so I just put myself on the ground and let him come over to me little by little.
There you go. From heartless Shri Thanadar. Sickening. A sick monster.
If you want to read the actual story, it's in the chat, private chat.
The actual story?
The actual story about it, yeah.
We can do that. We can do that.
It won't take long.
Should arrest this guy. Democratic Congressman Shri Thanadar, famed for railing against Trump, carried out unspeakable acts against 118 beagles. A Democratic congressman trying to impeach President Trump has been accused of abandoning over 100 dogs to starve after his company cruelly tested pharmaceuticals on them. Of course. Of course. I'm like, why does he have these dogs? Yeah, there you go. For his Frankenstein experiments on them. Shri Thanadar was behind a testing lab that shut down in 2010. The lab, Anniclin, preclinical services, was closed after its parent company, Azopharma, owned by the Democrat, went bankrupt. Months after the New Jersey lab closed, local animal rights activists alerted authorities to 118 beagles that had been left behind locked in the facility, as reported by HuffPost. At the time, The lab ex-workers told USA Today they've been jumping fences at the facility to provide food and water for the dogs. Insiders claim that even before the dogs were abandoned to starve, they lived horrific lives in captivity and were subject to toxicology tests. We believe that they have never been outside before, an unnamed woman told the Times Herald Record. I don't think they've actually had their paws on grass. It's Shri. It's a freaking monster. Looks like his entire face is made out of plastic. Sicko. Yeah. I don't want these people. I don't want these people in office. I'm sorry. This is. I'm starting to feel anger. I'm starting to feel anger. I will tell you that people think we beat China. In my poll, it's coming in at 73-27. 73-27. And you are correct, Wellesley, that Fauci and him did the same thing. Fauci was even more sick. Fauci. Do you know what Fauci did to beagles?
Yeah, bad stuff. I'm not 100% sure if this was connected to Fauci at all.
I don't know. But Fauci is reported, from what I've seen, Fauci is reported to have taped their eyelids open so that their eyes could be eaten by sand flies.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Sand fleas, yeah.
Sand fleas, right. Sand fleas. If you think that's not demented, A, you need a lot of help. And B, that's just the beginning of what this monster did to those poor beagles. Apparently, their screaming of the dogs as their eyes were being eaten by these sand fleas was so intense and so disturbing to the technicians who were administering it that they couldn't stand listening to the dogs screaming in pain. So they cut the dogs' vocal cords. They cut the vocal cords so this way we don't have to. This way you can't scream in pain, little puppy, because your screaming is just too upsetting to us. We don't want to hear about your pain. We want to numb the pain. We want to stop you from being able to scream out in horror. If you think that this is so sickeningly monstrous, that is the guy who's supposed to be looking out for the health of America for the last 3 decades.
I mean, it's to be expected, though, from Fauci. I mean, his first job with NIH was on a very famous experiment.
Who was?
Oh, yeah.
Which one?
The Tuskegee experiments.
Really?
Yeah. He was working there when it got shut down in the 70s.
The
Tuskegee experiments didn't get shut down until 73, until the Church Commission and all those papers got released. They were still doing that shit all the way up until the 70s. The damn Democrats.
They're sick. Such sick people. So sickening. All right. I got more of Kristi Noem. Let's get back to Kristi Noem here. Let me see. Apparently, we're having problems here in my chat. Let me just see. I don't even see this person who's supposedly spamming. Let me see.
Somebody's just writing a bunch of, it looks like a bunch of pseudo-religious stuff, I would say.
Uh-huh.
It's not really spam. It's not the same thing over and over again. But
Okay.
I don't know.
Who are we talking about here? Because I'm looking through the chat in YouTube and I'm not seeing it. So
I am Tony.
Maybe someone removed. I am Tony.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't really see what he's saying. That
Yeah. All about yeah.
That's upset. That's upset. I don't see what.
They
can block people. If you don't want to see somebody's stuff, just click on their name and hit block, and you can block them, and you don't see their stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't really qualify that as spam the way he's doing it. And he's not talking in all caps, and he's not like you can just block him individually. So he's not saying the same thing over and over
Yeah,
again.
no, it's not spam.
So whatever. He's got some sort of hang up. So
He's
got his
trying
hang
to.
up.
He's preaching.
Yeah, all right.
He's a street preacher. He's on a street corner and he's telling us what he feels. I don't know.
Speaking of preaching, let's get back to Kristi Noem. She was on the Hill today and on fire.
Is that your computer making that?
I don't know.
Noise?
I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know why. It's been doing that for a couple of weeks. I'm not sure why.
I think it's shameful to see the defense of individuals who break our laws. We are a nation of laws. If we are not a nation of laws, we're no nation at all. And that is what we are doing every day, is following those. If you guys don't like the law, go change it. That's your job. You don't complain. I was raised by a dad who said we don't complain about things. We fix them. Well, go fix them. If you don't like the law, quit bellyaching, quit hitting and attacking our ICE officers, quit going out and protesting and screaming vile things at them, quit calling them names. We wouldn't let our children do that. Go do something that actually matters by having an honest debate and changing the law. That's your jobs. You all should be fired, in my viewpoint. I think it's shameful.
You all should be
to see the
fired.
defense
You all
of
suck. You're all terrible. You're all terrible. I got one more clip from her. I got one more from her. This is the longest one.
The officials' assessment that the United States has been operating in a heightened threat environment for several years now.
Yes.
Yes or no? Would you say New York City is susceptible to these kinds of security threats?
Yes, and that's why they should spend.
So with New York City
$440
being the
million
number
they
one
had in
terrorist
reserves
target in the
that
nation,
the federal government gave them
with
to
New
use
York
to
City
secure
being
their
the number
city,
one, I reclaim my
they did
time, with
not
New York
spend.
City being the
Did
number
not
one
spend the
security
hundreds of
threat in
millions
this
of dollars
nation,
they had
it's
to secure
unconscionable
their city
that you
and
would
to
cut
place criminals on the street each and every day.
$134 million in urban area security initiative funding for the city of New York. What compelled you to knowingly make our cities less safe with these funding cuts?
If New York is worried about being less safe, maybe they should stop spending money on what they're spending money on. They've taken enough money off. They tax everything in New York. They got a fucking tax for driving into the city now.
Yeah, it's insane. It cost me $60 to see my dad now. If I go into New York and see my dad, it costs me $60. It's insane. Just going through. I mean, it's retarded.
Governor to release thousands of criminals on the streets rather than to turn them over to ICE. You'd rather release
Secretary Noem,
a murderer out onto
Secretary
your
Noem,
street.
you cut $134 million
and honor our detainers.
in
You should
funds
honor our detainers.
to support the
against violent
security
criminals
of
to get
New
them
York
out of New
City. And the city officials' assessment that the United States...
She's a fighter. She's a fighter. No, they don't want to let her talk. Marty, okay, let me explain something to you. Okay? These public hearing sessions, they are always dog and pony shows. That they're trying to take the opportunity. This is politicians trying to take the opportunity to get some sort of clip that they hope goes viral, where they're going to say something, pounding the desk that they feel is going to resonate with their affected constituents. That's what this is. They're just looking for a viral moment. Nothing comes of these hearings. Nothing comes out of the testimony. They'll spend 85, 95% of the time talking, throw some loaded rhetorical question out there, and pretend that was, everything they were saying for the 4.5 minutes they were talking was a build up to that, when much of it had nothing to do with it at all. And basically, this is why I don't cover them. I'll show clips of a moment here or there, which I think is a good clip to see. But yeah, as far as him wanting her to talk, he doesn't want her to talk. They treat the witnesses like the witnesses are props. They're props to help them get a viral moment. That's all this is. When you understand that that's what congressional hearings are about, then you can appreciate them for the joke that they are. That they're just props for a commercial. But instead of it being a commercial that they're paying for, now this is paid for by you and me, where they have these congressional hearings. So they're going to stand up there and give their stupid little stump speeches. We've seen them all do it on both sides of the aisle. We've seen on both sides of the aisle they do it. It's more, you'll feel it more objectionably when it's someone from the other side of the aisle. So you're getting this thing saying, feeling like that. But that's all this is. At the
Do you
end of the
use a
day.
wireless mouse or keyboard?
Nope.
Okay.
Nice try.
I was just wondering. That sound is generally like a USB something disconnecting and reconnecting type of thing.
I had a theory that it could be that I have an alert of an email coming in.
Oh, it could be that too. Yeah, it could be an alert.
Now you have me curious whether I have alerts coming on. I haven't gotten emails in the last 5 minutes, so no.
I was gonna say, because if you use a wireless mouse or a wireless keyboard, if it goes to sleep, depending on how you have it set to go to sleep, if it's going to sleep and waking back up, it'll make that noise.
Yeah. Anyhow, so that's what's going on there. I'm going to warn you all. I have a lot more to cover. What do we got to cover still? We got to cover the issue about federal workers, and the effort to try and undo Trump's EO for federal members of the union, which I'm going to do everything I can to avoid ranting when I'm covering that topic. This is all going to be coming up in the extended time. I plan on covering that. We've got Marjorie Taylor Greene going further loony.
Marjorie Trader Greene.
Marjorie Trader Greene. And what else do we have? There was a bunch of other things that I plan on covering with you all during our extended time. But I'm warning you that the extended time is going to be members only if we don't hit our goal. Now, so far, our goal is reflecting as if it shows there in our chat as if it's at what does it say? It's at there. It says that we're at 5 out of 15, but it's actually 10 because there's been all these rumble rants that came out there. So we're close. We'll see if we hit it or not. There's like 5 minutes left in that. So I'm giving you all the heads up on that. But I do have a lot more that I plan on covering over here. Whether you're there in or not, yeah. Well, no matter where we end up covering it, there is a lot more that I plan on covering with you all here. This is more Marjorie Taylor Greene over here. This is not what I wanted. But I also was thinking that we would talk about Tom Homan and his comments about Ilhan Omar. And what else do we have? There was one other thing that we were talking about covering. There was so much more. Jim. Come to me.
What?
You'll get it. Okay.
About Tom Homan talking about Ilhan Omar? Or no, what else we going to talk about?
Also the potential ethics complaint.
Against Emil Bove, yeah.
Emil Bove. Right.
Also,
that's all going to be coming up in the extended time. And in fact, I'm even going to try and help people out. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to gift some people some memberships right now. Let's do it. I'm going to bring people into the following because I think that's an appropriate thing to do. So where do I do that? That's not what I wanted to do. Why do I see that?
Wow, Brian Oldenkamp just gifted 20 memberships. So there you go.
Whoa.
Nope, and another 10.
I'm gonna join on board because I said I'm gonna be gifting, so I'm gonna send out 5 right now myself. So there you go. Look at Brian Oldenkamp coming on in here, gifting them out like the man. Like Brian's awesome. So we'll just cover who he gifted on in here. Who he gifted on in. Following. Holy moly, 35 people were gifted memberships. Courtesy of, I'm going to give all the credit to Brian because Brian is the man here. When you hear your name being called out, please bear in mind that you should be expressing gratitude to Brian Oldenkamp for bringing you into the following. That includes Senior John L, Maria Flora 9968, Dave 95274, Doxy Mom, Wayward Loan, ROFLS LOL, Right One Gal, No Filters, Shia Eisenman, Ludel Miss, Philip Coggins, 9512. Linda Richards, 3195. I remember Linda. It's been a minute since I've seen her. Joe Barron, Goose Toots. Goose Tuts, 1. Goose Toots? Is it Tuts? Goose Toots? What do you think? Is it Goose Toots or Goose Tuts? Good question. Christina Smith, 198. Miss TIF. Simply Rose, 6340. Dog Backwards, 5427. Vanessa Stuller, Barbara Neely. Numbers 655. Chrome Minion. No, not Chrome Minion. Chrome Minion, I think, was here already. He was the one, he was giving 5 there. Q Revere. Dawn Nate Jez. Not just a series of bats. I Am Flag. SC Freedom Girl. Gruff Money. Silicon Player. Miles Devane. I lost it. It jumped. Miles Devane. Lynn 1960, Chad Turner, Com Susser Todd, Laser Biz, Sandra Sanders, and Queen Bee, all of them brought in to the following. Welcome to the following. Please bear in mind that the following, while it sounds like it's kind of a cult, it's not at all a cult type of cult. It's just a gathering of like-minded individuals seeking greater personal growth through community learning, unity, learning, and thinking. But in no way, shape, or form is it like, you know, that type of cult, because we don't have spaceships. There's no Kool-Aid. There's no mandatory tracksuits. There's mild farm work. No dancing around bonfires to the beat of a tom-tom while shucking your clothing off. No goat sacrifices. No squirrel mutilations. No throwing virgins into volcanoes. It's not at all a cult type of cult, but it is. It's rainy members. Wait, that's not the way that's supposed to go. That's not the way that goes. Anyway, see, I'm sort of torn now. Because he was so generous with the chats. Like I should count that, right? I should count that. We were on the cusp.
Well, see, those are rules that you have to establish ahead of time, and you didn't have that established. So
I did not have that established.
You don't want to be accused of changing the rules in the middle of a game. That's what, Democrats do.
I don't worry about the accusations. I just try to make sure I conduct myself fairly. See, when he sends that in there, I sort of think to myself, I think that even though he's gifting memberships, I think like it's his way of saying, come on, Joe. Just keep it open for everyone. I think that's what he's doing.
I mean, there is a workaround.
What's the workaround you're suggesting?
I have this streaming on my stream, so if anyone who wasn't a member and wanted to go, they could always go watch on my stream.
Oh, that's not a workaround. That's not a workaround. That you suck.
That's a loophole.
You suck. You son of a bitch.
I wasn't going to say anything about it. I was just going to.
Oh my God! Wow, that's not cool. That's not cool.
I don't have enough members to have a members only stream.
I am going to credit it as if those were gifts. So yeah, I'm gonna count it as if we reached our goal, and we're gonna keep it for everyone. We're gonna be inclusive. So you can all thank Brian Oldenkamp for bringing us over the over the overpass there. Past the finish line. I did want to talk with you all. I should talk a little bit about. Like I said, I had a whole bunch of different things that I wanted to share with you. So let's just get into it. Oh no, this is what I really want to get into: the harassing of National Guards. Let's cover this. Let's do that real fast. Just 2 weeks after National Guard members were shot in D.C., leftists are back to harassing guardsmen patrolling the streets using the same rhetoric that mainstream media uses against them. Quote, "You're currently following legal orders. You're violating the Constitution."
All right, guys, what's up? You guys understand the Constitution. I'm sure you understand the Posse Comitatus Act. What are you guys doing here? Sergeant, have you heard of Captain Dylan Blaha or Staff Sergeant Demi Palachek? What about you, Private? Do you understand that you're currently violating the Constitution? That you're currently following illegal orders?
Wrong.
Are you aware of that fact, son?
Wrong.
Where are you guys from? West Virginia? Or is that Arizona? That looks like an Arizona patch, huh? You guys are smart. You're not going to talk. Oh, fuck off, bitch. What are you going to do? What are you gonna? You can't tell me to back up. This is a public sidewalk. I am more than 3 feet away. Fuck off, bitch. Fuck off.
They actually think this is a good look.
Fuck yourself.
You know, like
I do. What's up? What's up? You flexing? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Sergeant? Oh, you have a deployment pass. You have a combat badge? Combat infantry? Combat infantry badge? Combat action badge? What do you got? Where'd you deploy to? Sergeant?
This is the left. This is not a fine example of the left. Fine example of the left. You want me to show you? You want me to show you what a genuinely, and I don't mean this facetiously, I mean this sincerely. A fine example of the left. Right here. Thanks to whoever gifted me a membership. That's Linda Richards. She's one of the furthest left people who watches my show, if not the. And she actually does it via. She wants to make sure that that Brian appreciated the membership, that she appreciated. And this is this is immature. Speaking of Brian, God bless you, brother. Whoops. My pleasure. I'm glad I read your intent right. That you weren't trying to get people in for people, but that you were actually trying to encourage me to count it. So there you go. God bless you, brother, and thank you for your incredible generosity. I really appreciate it.
You look a little
Yeah.
young.
So.
You ever seen combat, son? Because I have.
You're special.
Tell me to back up on a public in front of unions.
You're trying to be. You see, this is the whole knee. You can't touch me. This is like, why are you doing this to them? Why are you doing this to them? Like they're doing their duty. You know they're doing their duty, and you're just trying to knee, and be a complete and total ass.
Station. You really that dumb, motherfucker? You got plenty of space, man. You got over 3. What is it? 6 feet? Here, I'll give you a COVID balance there, bud. Where are you from? You're gonna talk to me. At least tell me where you're from. You guys realize you're violating the Constitution. Just by being here, it might not seem like much.
Nope.
What you're doing is you're getting them used to federal troops deployed on our streets.
Actually, this looks like it's in Washington. But everywhere it's been appealed to, it's been recognized. Yeah, he's got the right to send that. They have a right to be here. So it's not a violation of the Constitution. And this is exactly what Jim was just mentioning. That all those members of Congress, those Democratic members of Congress, the seditious 6, and then you can throw in, I guess, also Gallego, the number 7, and other folks who are chiming in about, violating the Constitution. We're going to come after you. We're going to come after you. When in reality, at first they're told they can't be there by the lower court, and then the higher court says, no, it's totally constitutional. So all of this, and frankly, they as troops have a duty to follow any order. Every order they are obligated to follow unless it is manifestly unconstitutional. But these idiots are screaming unconstitutional and that you're not, they're breaking the law designed to promote desertion. This is why we call them the seditious 6, because you create idiots like this over here.
And I know you think, oh, I'm just following orders, but when a captain and a staff sergeant have already refused those illegal orders,
that doesn't mean
then they
anything.
have set the precedent that you can do the same thing.
Well, those people should be court-martialed.
I have not heard anything about a captain.
I haven't heard that either. Maybe that's the people he's referencing earlier, you think?
I think there was somebody who said something. There were people who weren't deployed. It was remember they're running for office.
Oh, is that what it is?
So I'd like you to freaking reevaluate your life decisions and go ahead.
Someone walking around screaming at National Guardsmen is telling them they should be reassessing their life decisions.
And fucking go home. Shame on you guys. You're violating the Constitution. Go home. Refuse your illegal orders. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Flex on me, bro. I have every right to stand here and talk to you. There is no law that
he's trying to bait him into throwing a punch. That's what he's trying to do, obviously.
says I can't be standing here on this public sidewalk. You want to do something, Sergeant? You go ahead and do that. I'm a combat infantry fucking.
No one gives a damn when you're acting like an ass. No one cares. Just because someone does something good in their lives at one stage in life doesn't mean that they don't end up becoming a complete and total jackass later. That doesn't give you a lifelong pass to be a complete and total putz. Oh, I did something noble decades ago, so I have a lifetime pass to be a putz. That's just not the way life works.
Veteran, you fuck off, bitch. Shame on you. Go back to whatever fucking town you came from. Go back to Arizona or West Virginia. We are tired of this shit. Remember your fucking oath, soldiers.
Notice he didn't show his face anywhere, huh?
Yeah. He's just the woke farmer. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Maybe he was one of those people who got kicked off because they were trans.
So now this has been going on. Here's someone coming to the defense of our National Guardsmen. So let's check out this exchange too.
Piece of fucking shit. Never did a damn thing.
Oh, that's the guy
Oh,
there.
same guy. There he is.
Wear that uniform with pride. What's up, bitch? What's up?
Hi, how's it going?
What you got to say, motherfucker? What you got to say, you punk ass bitch?
You're harassing our
Fuck off. I'm a combat infantry veteran. These
No one
fuckers ain't no
cares.
shit.
No one cares. No one cares. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. I don't care if you saved 100 orphans from a burning building. You're still a jerk.
Yeah, and I served for 30 fucking years.
So what? Yo, so you don't believe in the Constitution either, asshole?
That's exactly why they're out here.
You're
Exactly
so
why you're out
fucking
there doing what
stupid.
you're doing.
You don't know nothing about the Constitution. You are so full of shit. So you're one of Trump's people, aren't you? You're one of fucking Trump's people. So you don't believe in the Constitution. Do you understand the Posse Comitatus Act?
You don't?
You're obviously well.
He doesn't even know how it's fucking pronounced.
Yeah, you said you served 30.
Yeah, posse. You say comitatus. I say comitatus.
5 years. So you understand the Posse Comitatus Act.
Posse Comitatus. This guy's a liar.
What did you do with the Constitution? U.S. troops are not supposed to be deployed on U.S. city streets.
Wrong.
That's not what it says, actually.
Wrong.
At all.
And that's not what the posse comitatus said.
See, nobody can do it. So what's up with you, man? You don't want to be here, do you, man? Where are you from? Where are you from? You really don't believe in your oath to the Constitution? You probably don't give a fuck. You're just trying to get a paycheck, aren't you? But you need to understand.
Oh, because she's black? What? That's very racist to him. That is very extremely racist of him.
Of course.
To assume because she's black, she doesn't care about the Constitution or the oath. She's just there for a paycheck.
Of
Holy
course.
fuck. Wow, the left sure shows themselves.
Supporting Donald Trump's tyranny. You guys are setting the precedent for military to be on our streets policing our citizens.
Mind your own business.
Fuck you, bitch.
Oh, thank you so much.
God damn, I'm so fucking tired of y'all betraying our fucking nation. For what? For a fucking paycheck?
Just lunatic.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You know, there was a time not too long ago where someone acting like that would have been met with righteous anger and fury by citizens.
Yeah. You're saying like a pop in the lip is what you're trying
Oh,
to say.
yeah. You know, there was such a time when fighting words was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I think that time may have passed. But yeah, can this be considered seditious behavior? Interesting. He is actively trying to encourage them to break orders. I think you're hitting on something here, Gygax. Not the first Gygax. I'm talking to the other Gygax. But I think you're actually hitting on something. I do think that it's promoting, you're inciting them to commit sedition. You're saying you need to leave. Now you're talking to these people. It's proximal. It satisfies the proximal time and place element. And
It's definitely a violation of that
2387.
Yeah, 2387. That's trying to encourage or influence or whatever, interfere with getting them to not follow orders.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, it is DC, so they probably have a hard time getting an indictment.
But still, although I guess then if you don't get a conviction, he ends up becoming a hero, right? That's what ends up happening. Like you always want to sort of figure out like the line to draw between like giving someone oxygen, and promoting their microphone, building their microphone up.
Speaking of people looking like a hero,
versus make an example of them.
You seen any of the pictures coming out of the guy, like what they're posting about the Tyler Robinson guy and him all smiling and all happy, and they're making him out to be a hero?
Yeah, you can thank what's her face
Luigi?
for that.
And all the other people.
Not
Oh,
Luigi.
yeah.
You can
Oh,
thank Candace Owens for that.
Candace Owens, yeah.
Yeah. I'm so. I have a clip which basically it's a video that I was watching earlier today. We're in extended time now, so I'm going to cover the MTG thing, and then I'm going to cover this video that was done by this guy Sahar, where he was basically sharing a clip from a third video of this former intelligence officer, I think CIA, who was assessing the he did an interview, and he was assessing the likelihood of Israel's involvement in the Charlie Kirk shooting. So, and I thought it was a really interesting breakdown that he gave. So yeah, but before we get to that, I did promise you all that I was going to share with you just how crazy MTG is, and you can see it even in my thumbnail. Frankly, there's really not much. It's really not much more to say about this. I guess, than just because a picture is worth 1,000 words. This is now Marjorie Taylor Greene with Medea Benjamin saying, "We visited Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene today to thank her for becoming such a strong anti-war voice in Congress and tell her we will miss her. Oh, we're going to miss you. Oh, we're going to miss you." What a complete and total disaster this woman has become. Posing with I Heart Palestinian Liberation Code Pink. Posing with Code Pink. That's what this woman is doing now, posing with Code Pink. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about Code Pink so they can appreciate just what a complete and utter fail Marjorie Taylor Greene has become?
Well, everyone might remember Code Pink. They were the group. They were started during the Gulf War. What? All right, come on, go.
He's so cute.
Yeah, come on, go. They were started during the Gulf War, the protests of Gulf, but many people don't realize is that Neville Singham is a man's name who was responsible for all the No Kings protests and other stuff that has happened around the country over the past, since 2016, 2015, the stuff protesting against Trump, the Women's March and all that stuff. It's all funded by him. He's a CCP-aligned billionaire who's basically trying to duke it out with Soros for who's going to control the left.
Right. So you're saying he's basically he's it's him or Soros.
Yes, him or Soros.
This is Code Pink. This is that organization that she's now standing with. What a humiliating turn her life has taken. Bases off Cyprus, Iran, Palestine, Israel's occupation of Palestine is brutal genocide are illegal under international law. Good neighbor policy from Cuba, Venezuela. We're exploiting our neighbors to the south. It's just wow. So yeah, they're basically useful idiots for leftist organizations. They're a leftist organization which is basically comprised of useful idiots who are being run by billionaires and thinking that they're independent thought. There's a whole bunch of independent thought that's going on there. Very, very frustrating. But they've been around for a while. Joe Conch is sharing out here. Marjorie Timu Greene now embracing Code Pink. Are you getting this yet? A lot of people are shocked by this, including Laura Loomis saying, wow, Marjorie Taylor Greene's transformation to a full-blown radical leftist is almost complete. Code Pink is fangirling over NTG, and she's taking pics with them, all while knowing their open ties to the CCP and the Iranian regime. She has no principles or integrity. I don't think she ever did. I think that she was classic grifter. Code Pink should be in prison in the first place, according to Data Republican. They engage in state-sponsored revolutionary training in Cuba. Their members do things that there's no easy explanation for, such as meeting with Iranian government officials. I understand the spirit of crossing the partisan bridge, but Code Pink is the enemy of America, and the mentality that the enemy of my enemy is my friend is the cause behind nearly every single foreign policy blunder. So, as properly pointed out by Data Republican there. But since we're on topic now with this issue, and just one last point on that before we get into that. This is who they're friends with.
Mhm.
The Islamic regime in Iran. That's Code Pink right there. Lunatics. Outright lunatics. So, I promised
A
you
lot of people
all.
are talking about it in the chat too, that Trump pardoned Tina Peters. She's prosecuted for state crimes. The pardon's not.
He pardoned her?
He pardoned her, but it's a state crime charge, so I don't know I don't think it has any effect.
How does he pardon? I don't know what that does.
I don't know if it does anything.
I guess
I know that
federal charges, but
yeah, but I know that Harmeet sent a letter and she started an investigation into the entire Colorado prison system because they tried to get Colorado to give her up to the feds, which they should have just had a judge sign a witness warrant. They should have just got a federal witness warrant and went and got her. And I don't know.
Yeah. Wow.
Or a material witness warrant, whatever it's called.
Yeah. That's
Israel can.
Sorry. Yeah. No. I don't know what that does. It does seem like it's mostly symbolic more than anything else, as far as being able to have any effect. Anyway, this is from Sahar TV. So I mentioned, I'm not sure if you were taking care of family stuff when I mentioned this, but I was watching earlier today this video which was breaking down what involvement, if any, Israel may have had in Charlie Kirk's assassination. And this is an ex-CIA agent who met with, Michael Franci, the former member of the mafia.
Michael Francisi.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so he's now become a podcaster, and he's sufficiently well known that he gets cool guests like an ex-CIA agent to come on there and basically break it down. And Sahar TV, who I will, for full disclosure, let you know that he's an Israeli who's very, very pro-Israel, but he clipped bits of it, and his video here, I think, does a pretty good job of clipping out the parts where he's talking about the potential, the logic behind claiming that Israel was involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, or more precisely, the complete illogic in thinking this guy is former CIA. His name is Abatu. He's pretty famous for coming on podcasts. Brian Abatuse or something like that. Here you go.
Assassinate, and they can assassinate effectively. But when they assassinate, they use Mossad agents. They don't use kids that dress up in bunny costumes
and
make out with their male roommate. That's not what they use as an assassin.
Hi guys, doing this is Sahar TV, and in today's video we'll watch a CIA agent.
I don't really care about this part of him talking. I really care about the clips that he got. He doesn't talk much in this video.
Let's watch.
Circular reporting is when one source gives a piece of intelligence, and then you hear the same intelligence from a separate source. And then you think to yourself, oh, I'm hearing it from two different sources. That must increase the reliability of it being real, being true. What we don't realize is that the second source learned the information from the first source. So really, it's the same information from the same source, but we're reporting it as two different sources.
It smells like Candace Owens, who keeps blaming Israel for Charlie Kirk's assassination, right?
That's why we call it circular. So when you have one influencer who basically posts a conspiracy theory, and then 5 other influencers just repeat the same conspiracy theory, to us, it feels like there's 5 people saying this.
Right.
It's only one. They're all just piling on to the same thing. They're all on the same gravy train. The last thing I want to say here on whether Israel would be involved in this, it doesn't make any sense when you look at geopolitics and the importance of blowback. Blowback is when you make a geopolitical error that has massive consequences. So we saw that there were ceasefires that fell apart and there was blowback. There were consequences internationally. When Russia invaded Ukraine, there were sanctions. That was blowback. That was international. As much as Israel has taken the steps it has taken, as ostracized as it's been, as polarizing as it's been, it would not risk killing a conservative American influencer.
Yeah, what he was describing there in the first part was what she called the wrap-up smear, where you basically, in that case, the source is actually a member of Congress, and they go and they tell someone in the news, and then it gets filtered through the news cycle, and then they're like, well, this is what's being reported in the news. So what she was describing is even more nefarious because it's not even a first source. You are the source, and then you're quoting the news as if they're the source.
When their support base in the United States is conservative Americans. And the argument that people are making here is, oh, well, like 2 weeks beforehand, Charlie Kirk said he was going to split away from Judaism or supporting Israel. What do you think when Israel assessed that break with Charlie Kirk?
So ask yourself this, and this is the interesting question he's coming to now. You're Israel. Okay, let's assume all this is true. Let's assume everything that people are saying, that he's about to leave Israel, he's about to leave Israel, he's about to leave Israel. So he's basically about to ask himself a question. Okay, let's assume you're Israel and you hear this information on September 1st or September 8th, whenever you hear it, okay, that Charlie Kirk is about to abandon his support for Israel. Ask yourself this, what would you do in that position if you were Israel? I'm asking you, Jim. You're muted, so you might have to
Uh-oh. What would I do?
You're Israel. This guy who's a very influential podcaster who has been supporting you publicly and helping build support for you publicly for years says,
you don't
I'm
kill
done.
him and make a martyr of him. You don't kill him and make a martyr. What you do is you plant something on his computer that he gets caught with, something that would ruin him and be almost impossible to get around, make him, turn him into Epstein, basically. Turn him into Epstein.
That's one possible approach. Right? That's one possible approach. If they would kill him, in that case, they would have killed Tucker Carlson a long time ago, right? They would have killed Candace Owens, right? And you don't have to do it with a public shooting, right? I mean, you can do it by basically, getting an agent to go there and inject them with something.
No, anything. I mean, just
and give him a heart attack. So it looks like a heart attack, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's worse to discredit him, though. You don't want to make martyr somebody.
But there's something even better that you can do, which he's about to suggest, which seems like the most logical thing, which is you woo him back.
Oh yeah, woo him back, sure.
Do you think that they thought to themselves, we need to publicly kill this man? Or do you think they said something more along the lines of, we need to work on the next 6 to 12 months finding a way to bring him back into the fold? Because he has decades worth of utility if we can make him a supporter again. But if we kill him, think about the risk of blowback. If they were to actually kill him, and if they were to be caught, or if they were to be formally implicated, that's going to destroy their relationship with the conservative base of the United States for decades. Israel can assassinate, and they can assassinate effectively. But when they assassinate, they use Mossad agents. They don't use kids that dress up in bunny costumes and make out with their male roommate. That's not what they use as an assassin.
Well, I always thought that was absurd. Why would they? First of all, my point, look, Charlie Kirk was an influential figure. But that influential, that you have to take him out, like he's going to destroy Israel if you don't. Yeah, it made no sense to me.
Also, to me, what doesn't make sense is if Israel takes out every person that doesn't show support to Israel when they used to show support to Israel, why are they not killing Candace Owens? Why are they not killing Tucker Carlson? Why are they not killing all these people that used to be on the Israel's wagon, and now they're not? It just doesn't make sense.
I will point out also,
yeah,
I just did a cursory search on this guy, Bustamante.
Yeah.
The only evidence that he was CIA is him on podcast saying he was in the CIA. That's it. And this is what it says on the search.
So you're saying
I don't know what he is. He was in the Air Force. He was in the Air Force. There's proof that he was in the Air Force.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. No,
I don't know if you know who Mike Baker is. You know, like the guy, Mike Baker, is a CIA dude. He's got his own thing, diligence. There's actually photos and stuff. You can see him when he was in Afghanistan dressed and doing his thing in different places. And like, he's well known as a CIA guy. I don't know. This guy, to me, something about him just says he's lying.
Could be. They call him ex-CIA agent. They give him his name is Bustamante, I think.
Right, but I'm just saying, I searched. I said, any proof? He says, well, it's just his media appearances on podcasts and stuff. So where he says he's a CIA agent, it's like, oh, okay,
all right,
because it didn't happen. It's all one big conspiracy. There's no proof, no link, nothing.
But I think you nailed it in that. Really, let me ask you this. I have a friend. Two things I want to say. Well, let me ask you this first. How does the CIA stack up against Mossad? Would you consider one a superior agency, or
the professional answer here is that you have.
Tell me which thing he says that you think sounds inaccurate, because I'm curious. I'd like to hear that. Like if he says something that you think is inaccurate, say, okay, here's why that doesn't make sense to me. And
okay,
you know, feel free to. I don't know, but I don't know whether he is ex-CIA. Maybe he's a complete total grifter who's trying to build up his self fluff by lying about his resume. I don't know. I never saw this guy before today. I'm simply saying, you know, this is what
he's the technical advisor on the show Skinwalker Ranch about the paranormal.
Okay. So my question is, so let's try and see what he's saying as to whether that sounds like logical. And he's about to explain the difference between the way the CIA and the Mossad operate. Can you tell me if what he's saying makes sense? As far as now that I'm thinking about it, I think that does make sense. Because when I heard it, to me, it made sense. But if it's possible I missed something. So if you're in the audience, if you're in the audience and you have questions about what he's saying that doesn't make sense, so tell me why. I'm watching the chat. It's easier for me to watch chat when I have a long video like this. So I try to really watch chat. You don't even have to necessarily send a super chat.
Have to look at the different categories because intelligence has multiple categories. When it comes to size and scale of capability, CIA crushes Mossad. We have a much higher budget. We have a much wider international footprint in where we can operate, where we're prepared to operate, the network that we have in those different countries. Mossad is really only focused on a few countries and really primarily Iran and then proxies of Iran. So where the United States is the premier superpower, we have 160 countries that are all trying to take us down.
Wait, I thought Mossad was focused on the United States, and that's why they had Epstein here getting all that information.
Who says that they're focused on the United States? Why would they be focused on the United States?
Well, then why did they have Epstein here getting the blackmail information? I mean, what's going on? This guy's off script.
The threat for leading nations, but they're not trying to eradicate the country like Iran is trying to eradicate the country. So your budget gets spread pretty far and wide when 160 countries are vying for you versus when just one is. So when it comes to size and scope, CIA crushes Mossad. But when it comes to refined, sophisticated, high-risk operations, nobody touches Mossad because Mossad has no problem executing assassinations because the blowback for their concern, the blowback is worth it because the people they assassinate, by and large, are people who are actually posing a existential threat to the homeland. Again, not Charlie Kirk, not influencers. That's not who threatens Israel. Nuclear scientists in Iran are the threat to Israel. Generals for Hezbollah and Hamas, right? People who are sworn to destroy the entire independent nation of Israel. That's who they assassinate. So because they have to have a plan for that, they take risks that none of us in CIA would take. They'll send 10 people on a hit team and they'll assess that only 5 will come back and they'll still go. Where our Navy SEAL teams, if they assess that high of an attrition rate, they'll second guess their plan and go back to the drawing board and reinvent it all over again. So their risk tolerance is higher because their threat vector is so much higher. So, and those two just separate categories, you can see how different the two are. Israel's capability for sabotage, especially clandestine sabotage that would never be discovered, astronomically high. The United States, we spread our sabotage operations far and wide. It's very hard for us to sabotage a Russian factory and a Chinese factory and a North Korean factory using the same system. So we have to create 3 completely different systems. All 3 of them have the risk of being captured and caught We have to worry about being penetrated by the Russians and the Chinese and the North Koreans, technologically and in terms of human inside sources. You can just see how the risk profile for the United States goes up significantly, where Israel can keep its operations secret from the United States. Israel's even recruited spies who are American military members without the United States realizing that those same military members are informing Israel. So you can really start to see that they're comparable on points, but not as an entire service.
So, look, like I said, I don't know if this guy's legit or not, but he's certainly a lot of you are not impressed with him, and that's fine. I'm simply saying what he's saying, it sounds logical to me. I don't know. Maybe he's legit. Maybe he's a complete grifter. But if what he's saying sounds illogical, like, tell me where you think that there's a lack of logic. Because what he's saying makes sense to me. Like, hey, if you're a country, you're a relatively tiny country, and you're worried about being crushed, you're going to focus on the ones who are potential to crush you, not PR. Right? So
all the talk.
SB Farmer, there's a million things I don't know. Very, very focused area of knowledge. Very, very focused. So
talk about Israel really controlling the United States, you wouldn't place much weight in that at all.
No, what we're seeing when we think that Israel has this grandiose control of the world, when we think that they're part of some deep state pulling the strings, right? What we're seeing there is that Netanyahu specifically, who is without a doubt an authoritarian leader, who has been in office more than a decade, like all the signs of the people that we generally say are bad leaders. We attack Xi Jinping, we attack Vladimir Putin, right? And yet we're seeing it with Netanyahu, one of the closest allies to the United States.
Netanyahu's been in and out of office.
Authoritarian.
Yes. Even when he wasn't the head of Israel, he was still always circling around the cabinet there. He always had influential roles.
Are influential and impactful because he knows how to play the geopolitical game. He understands the leverage that Israel has. He knows when to push a little bit further. He knows how to influence the president, not through secret documents that Epstein might have or might not have. He just understands what the president wants and how to get the president to agree to terms that Israel benefits from. And they've been doing this long before Donald Trump was in office. They've been doing this for as long as we've had a close relationship with Israel. Netanyahu, when he was prime minister, he was doing it. When he wasn't prime minister, he was doing it. Like, we've had this relationship with Israel for a long time. So much of the United States' success is tied to the Jewish diaspora. And even still, Americans can't tell the difference between a Jew and an Israeli.
Well, even the way he said that, I don't like the way he said that.
So
what don't you like? Tell me.
A Jew.
I didn't take offense from it.
I did. I'm very offended.
Okay. All right.
Just end up completely missing the boat and landing on some stupid, oversimplified idea that, Israel must run the world. No. You just have a very sophisticated person who's in an authoritarian position who understands that we can't tell the difference between a citizen of his nation and a follower of the same faith.
No, it's funny because I have a very dear friend of
Beautifully said, I have to say.
mine, 30 some odd years, very dear friend. He's Israeli. And I said to him, why does it seem you don't like Netanyahu? And he said, I don't not like him. I hate him. And I said, why is that? And then prior to saying that, I said, I've never seen such anti-Semitism as we're seeing now. And I think he relates, in the United States, he relates Netanyahu to the anti-Semitism here.
It doesn't matter what leader.
I'm just going to put, and I think he's about to say, as I recall, he's about to say it doesn't matter who's there, that people are going to hate Israel. And Sahar is completely correct about this. It's a foolish take to think that Jews are hated in America because of Bibi. That's dumb.
Well, the reason we're having a problem here in America is because we let a bunch of crazy people come in here, Palestinian refugees who everywhere they've gone, they've caused these problems. I'll say it. I don't give a shit.
He said it.
Absolutely. What I see is that we are Americans who are not careful with their words or who are not sophisticated enough in their own worldly knowledge are not understanding that Jews are not the problem. The faith that a Jewish person follows is not the problem. It's the nation and the policy of Israel that is the problem.
So
And
the nation of Israel is a problem. Okay.
Not necessarily people guided by faith.
I think, you know what? I'm totally comfortable with, let's let him finish with his point here, because he's about to make a point as far as the mistake that people have made. I'm totally comfortable with people hating on the state of Israel. My issue has always been that those who do hate on the state of Israel do blur this line, that it invariably flows towards
he said
I
that
hate Jews.
the fact that there is a state of Israel is a problem.
Well, I think he's saying that, you know, the way that they operate, that's, you know, he's, from his perspective, he thinks there's a problem. I don't have
that it exists. He says it doesn't have a right to exist.
I don't know that he says that.
I'm reading between the lines.
Okay, maybe, and maybe that is what he's saying. I'm saying I don't take that. I take it as, like, you know, that the way Bibi is leading them is where he thinks is a problem.
So maybe he was CIA. Maybe he infiltrated. Maybe he's really Hamas or part of the IRGC or something.
Maybe.
They're just people guided by their own self-interest.
I disagree with what he's saying, but let's see what else he's going to say, just so I can understand his train of thought.
And what they believe are in the best interest of their country. So what happens is these less knowledgeable or unsophisticated or uncareful people here in the United States, they start saying anti-Semitic things. They start acting in a way that's anti-Semitic, not understanding there's a difference between the Israeli government and the Jew, the Israeli citizen and the Jew. Jewish people are wonderful people. The Jewish faith is a wonderful faith. It's a community-oriented faith that builds groups up. It's not dangerous. It's not self-serving. It's not negative. And when we start to focus our anger on Jewish people, we're completely ignoring the fact that we are angry because of Israeli policies. Totally different things. But how?
And that's why I think he's attributing Israeli policies and saying Bibi specifically, not the existence of the state of Israel. That's how I took what he was saying to mean. But yeah, that's how I heard it.
How do you get people? First of all, how do you get people to understand that? And then the biggest frustration, Michael, is that even our Congress doesn't understand the difference. So we've had members of the House who have put forward policies that basically make a criticism of Israel a sign of anti-Semitism. Now we're making it legislation that the two are the same thing. Now, thankfully, those bills weren't passed. Smarter people prevailed and said, hey, well, this is not the same thing. But geez, man, we have our own representatives that aren't smart enough to tell the difference between a faith set and a nationality.
I'll include the full.
Anyway, so yeah, that's the clip, and he references the full clip from Franzisi there. I'll tell you that between that and also the fact that so many leftists are irreligious Jews, that just makes it easier to just sort of start attributing, like, you know, Jew with crazy leftists. And also there's, you know, and there's admittedly a historical tie between the original Marxists and the irreligious Jew, which I once did a whole long thing explaining why it is that they got into Marxism. But yeah, that I understand the growing animus, and I don't blame Bibi. I think that's stupid. I think that's really stupid.
People hated Jews and before there was an Israel.
That's 100% true.
Well, I mean, there was an Israel thousands of years ago, but anyway, you know what I mean.
But this is why it's rearing up now. That's why it's rearing up now. It's become because it's acceptable, because it's tolerable, because it's, if anything, it's cool. So anyhow, good times.
There was one story we were supposed to cover.
What was that?
The unions.
Oh my God! Thank you for reminding me on that. That's a relatively short story, but we'll definitely want to cover that. Where was that? I had that. That was one of my earlier stories. Here it is. In Epoch Times. House pass. Nope, that's not it. That was definitely not it. Wrong clip there. Yeah, you're right. Here it is. Okay. I know what happened. Breaking U.S. House advances bill to overturn a President Trump EO after 13 Republicans voted with Democrats. What is this EO? Oh my gosh, this is the one that gets me angry. Okay. In a 222 to 200 vote, the House moved forward with ending Trump's crackdown on federal worker unions. Utterly ridiculous. The 13 Republicans are Jeff Van Drew, Nicole Maliotakis, Nick LaLota, Brian Fitzpatrick, Brian Bresnahan, Don Bacon, of course, Mike Lawler, Tom Keene, Ryan McKenzie, Zach Nunn, Chris Smith, Pete Stauber, and Mike Turner. Full passage could happen Thursday. I mean, look, this is never going to become law. Right? Right? I mean, he's not going to sign.
On this vote, the yeas are 222 and the nays are 200. The motion is adopted.
Now, what is happening here? What are they talking about? Well, you need to know a little bit about the backstory, and that is this here. In March of 2025, Trump drafted this EO, which says that which broadens exclusions from federal labor management relations programs. What does this mean? It means that he said that there are certain federal agents federal agencies that their members have no right to unionize. Now, this was not a novel thing. The notion that federal agents should not be allowed to unionize, and he expanded it to various intelligence agencies and said, if you're a member of the CIA, FBI, whatever, that you cannot form a union. There's logic behind this, and this was not the first time that a president did it. In fact, the first president to ban there being unions for federal workers is, believe it or not, I'm about to shock some of you who don't know the history of this. Believe it or not, that was 1979. President Carter banned unions amongst certain intelligence agencies because of concerns that if they strike, in that case, and they have all these different union laws, they hold national intelligence secrets, and that it's not a healthy thing to enable them to unionize because of the threat that would pose to national security. So what Trump did with this EO is he just brought in the agencies to now include DHS, which didn't even exist in 1979. He said DHS can't unionize, and other agencies. And that's what this EO is doing, is that it's broadening it. So now Congress is coming out and saying, no, they have a right to unionize. That's basically what this fight is about. It's very confusing EO to read. If you try reading through this EO, I did, and I was just like, but basically, he says Executive Order 12171 of November 1979.
This Jimmy Carter.
Carter's EO is further amended by adding other agencies that are excluded from being allowed to unionize, saying certain people can unionize, but these agencies cannot.
There's really no need for there to be government unions. There's all these worker protections that they put into statutes. They have the the Merit Service Board review, and they have all these things that protect them. They don't need collective bargaining. All it is a way to get money that they can siphon back and give back to the Democrats. That's all it is. That's all it is. They're going to give them more stuff so then they can get more Democrats. Look at every single board that has anything to do with labor in the Capitol. It's all stocked with union officials because that's the payout. Anyway, sorry. And I was in the union, so
it reminds me of a video I made in my in the halcyon days of Good Logic. This video got my dad mad at me. It really did. So I thought my dad was a member of the teachers union when he was a kid. Well, a young man, younger than I am. He was a member of the teachers union. And yeah, so I did a whole video where I basically was should I share with you a clip from the video?
Sure.
I can try digging it up if you like. It would take me a minute.
Like someone was asking in the chat, how does it work with police unions? Believe it or not, the police
There should not be police unions.
Well, but the police unions and the fire department unions and stuff, they're not unions in the sense that they have any power. They're not allowed to strike. They're not allowed to do any of these other things. They're prevented. They can't.
There should never, ever be government unions. It doesn't make any sense to have government unions.
No.
It's the stupidest thing in the world to have government unions. The reason we had unions is because if you search back 120 years ago, that the worker as an individual was getting crushed by the robber barons, meaning the uber wealthy of the day, who frankly are a joke compared to the uber wealthy of today. But the uber wealthy of the day, the Rockefellers of the world, would basically be paying people 12 cents an hour to go into a coal mine and inhale lung disease, working 20-hour shifts. And if like you didn't want to do it, okay, you're fired. Now you have nothing to feed your family.
There's an argument to be made too by that the unions didn't actually fix a lot of these things they claim to have fixed, that it was done by people like Henry Ford and other people who just said, no, I want people to get more money, I want this, and they actually changed things like the 40-hour work week and all that stuff.
At some point, it's reasonable to say, at some point, perhaps there was a need for unions, and in certain private industry where you have private persons who are working, for themselves, and you're talking about masses of impoverished people who are desperate for any type of labor. So in order to enable them to not be bludgeoned in the terms of their agreements with various super powerful, far more sophisticated, wealthy people who are going to basically turn them into virtual slave labor. So it made sense that we need to the concept of having unions, so this way they couldn't just pick off the little guy, and the little guy could merge together with thousands of other, if not far more than thousands of other little guys, to order to say, look, do this, or we're out of here. That was the whole point to unions. When has there ever been that situation for a government employee?
Never.
That's never, ever been the case. It's never been the case that a government employee had that type of scenario. It's like, look, they're not putting you into dangerous, hazardous type of situations. They're not bludgeoning you to death. So what ends up happening as far as in practical terms with these government unions is now you have a politician because it's not the owner of a company who's trying to greedily hold on to the money and bludgeon the employee like you have in private industry 120 years ago. No, now the coffers are not being held by some person who's personally motivated to hold on to that money. Because what you set up there by having the unions is you have party A in the private, in the classic sense, right? The Rockefellers of the world. So now you got him standing there, and he has his own private interest in holding on to his own money. And then you have this collection of other individuals who are now representing the whole group, and they have their interests. So now you have two competing interests fighting against each other in that union fight. But when you're talking about a situation where you have a government union, they're not being nearly as overworked, if they're being overworked at all, or underpaid if they're being underpaid at all. But what you have here is they now are amassing as a group, and who are they standing up against? They're standing up against some politician. It's not his money, it's your money. He is the caretaker of your money. And he knows that I get a lot of votes. It's much more popular for me to just cave to them. So the person who's supposed to be representing your money over here, keeping it from these government workers, because who's paying them? You and I are the ones who are paying them. So our caretaker is already motivated to make sure that they're happy because he doesn't want them, because now he's highly motivated to make sure that they're happy because all of a sudden now the teachers union is going to come along and support his reelection offer, his reelection efforts. Teacher union is more likely, the police union is more likely to support him if he starts giving more money. So the very caretaker, instead of being self-interested because of his own capitalistic need to actually, fight against them, is incentivized to go along with them. And who's the one who gets screwed over by this? You and me, who's paying their bill. We have no representative in this fight. So you have this minority of people, which is the government worker in industry A, B, or C. It could be military, it could be police, it could be security, it could be Congress, it could be, I don't even know, it could be teachers, it could be bus drivers, it could be MTA, it doesn't matter. Whichever government agency is paying their bill, they're taxing you and me for it. But the person who's fighting against them, they don't have a personal interest in fighting against them. If anything, their personal interest is in going along with whatever the hell they ask for. That is not a fair fight.
You can look at what the budgets have done to Chicago, New York, California, other places because of unions, because of contracts, because of
Of course. And then because who the heck is fighting against the union? It's some person who wants the union to vote for them. He wants the union to go out there and say, oh, yeah, this guy's a great guy. Go vote for them. Oh, this woman is amazing. Everyone in the union should go vote for her. Yeah, because he's basically raiding your tax dollars to pay them. Buying votes with your tax dollars. That's all that's happening there. It should be thoroughly 100% illegal for there to be any sort of government union because basically it's a way of extorting it's a political bribe that now, because there's this union there that they're all banding together, and now we're all going to vote in one big block and we're all going to come out there and support this politician. The politician is highly incentivized to be like, oh, okay, I'll raise you up by 20%. What do I care? I'll give you an extra week vacation. I don't care. What the hell do I care? I'm not the one paying the bill. This is not your classic union scenario. There where the person's like, I don't want to dig into my own pocket here and pay you guys more money. No, he's digging into your pocket. He basically comes across, sticks his hand out at you, grabs your money and says, here, there you go. Now go vote for me. He's buying their votes with your money. That's what happens when you have a government union. They're buying his own personal votes with your dollars. It's cheaper than a campaign ad. He doesn't have to raise any money for campaign finances. He just sticks his hand into your tax dollars and says, boop, there you go. Now tell everyone in your union to go vote for me.
Yeah, and it's not the way it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, where the vast majority of unions were private businesses, different companies, Ford, GM, all these different corporations that had manufacturing, different things. Now, 65 or 70% of the union members in the country are government employees. They work for government in one way or another.
It's asinine. It's asinine. The entire notion of there being a government union should be so thoroughly illegal. It's an extortion. They basically extort money out of you. They're not extorting it. They're basically thieving from you and buying votes by paying off union members.
And the same thing, like the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, is an official for the Chicago Teachers Union. But he's still the mayor, and he's negotiating with the teachers union.
It's the stupidest thing in the world. Who the hell is representing the taxpayer? No one. There's no one representing the taxpayer. There's no one. It's the stupidest thing in the world. It's ridiculous. So these jackasses come along and start saying, so what did Trump do here that was so objectionable? All he did was he took something that a Democratic president, astonishingly, it shows you the difference between Democratic president in the 20th century versus in the 21st century, that he actually was like, hey, we got to actually look out for national security and make sure that we don't have this. Now, all of a sudden, we even have Republicans signing up and saying, oh, okay, no, we can't have an EO, which is keeping these the secret keepers from unionizing. What are you, out of your freaking minds? What the hell's wrong with you? Stupid. Just stupid.
Very upsetting.
Don Bacon.
Don Bacon has I don't understand. He's not. I don't understand how he's a Republican. Even he's voted against everything that Trump's ever tried to do in his first term too. He's got some weird seat in Nebraska.
Anyway, When my dad saw me do this rant about this in a video 4 years ago, he's like, when you were young, we really needed that union to help, help us make ends meet. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe in the 1970s, it was a necessary thing.
The union convinces
it's not a necessary
people
thing
of that.
anymore.
But that would only be if there was still people out there that were trying to take advantage, in every way. But there's laws. There's laws on the books now for everything. You can't work more than these hours. You get overtime. I mean, everything is pretty much guaranteed by laws and statutes that were passed and pushed by these people. So why do you need a union if it's all a law now that you can't force people to work more than these hours? You got to pay them overtime. You can only work so many hours. You got to have a break. It's all in the law.
Whole damn thing makes no sense. There's no logic behind it at all. It's just something that, that's the policy. That's the way things have been done. So that's why we'll keep doing it. It's so stupid. It should be thoroughly banned. Thoroughly banned. Anyway, Jim, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on Rumble or on YouTube at Jim Tells You, on X at Jim Satala or Jim Tells You. I have 2 accounts there. I had to snake the second one just to make sure no one got it for me. The Jim Tells You one.
And if you're watching after the show, when he gives me the link will be in the description.
I forgot about the link.
The link will be in the description, and we can even pin it in the chat. You can do that real fast if you have time.
I can do it fast.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's time for me to. I'm landing for the week, right? Tomorrow is there going to be a layback law? I don't know. You'll get notifications about that.
There wasn't one last week. I thought there was going to be one, and then
I know. Yeah, I was the only one who showed. So
you were the only one that showed up.
I didn't show.
How did that work?
I didn't show. Anyway, but you know what they say. It's really very simple. No lab meat, no bugs. It's that easy, right? Do not eat the bugs. The lab meat's never meant for you. It wasn't never meant for you, and I can't stress that enough. So make sure that you guys sign up to Jim. Did you put that in the chat?
I put it in the private chat. Yeah, I put it in the
You
other
put it in the
chat.
private chat.
I put it in the other chat. The chat was just flying by so fast.
All right. Well, I'll pin it in the chat because I got that kind of power. So you guys can basically make sure that you sign up to him. And because Jim does amazing work, even when he's not here, he's continually helping me find stories and making my life much easier. And I am very much appreciative of the fine and amazing work that he does, whether he's sitting shotgun or not. He's amazing. So God bless you, Jim. I really appreciate you, brother. And thank you, Kelly, for the awesome super sticker. Super sticker. Anyway, that's my show. I'm sticking to it. I hope you all have a phenomenal weekend. Until next time, my friends, I say to you, good night and Godspeed.